Anything else? Are we recording? Do y'all see anything?
No.
Y'all don't see a record thing?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what was your question? My bad.
No, you good. How do you change negative thought processes into positives while working in a stressful environment?
It's called polarization. It's one of the laws of the Kabbalion.
Yep.
And so it's called when you get the it's called the pendulum swing.
Yeah.
So whenever you experience a moment that you term or deem negative,
Mm-hmm.
how you get out of that is polarizing by focusing on what you want, the positive aspect of what you actually want. And by you focusing on that, you'll be your attention won't be taken up by the negative aspect of what you're in, because you're constantly focused on the positive of what you're attaining. And that's how you mitigate or minimize the pendulum swing, because you always know the pendulum swings forward and the pendulum swings back. So whenever you're up, the pendulum, you're not always going to be up. The pendulum is going to swing back. But how you overcome that is when the pendulum, when you're up, you always know that the pendulum is not going to always be that way. So you don't act like this is always the way it's going to be. A knowledgeable, wise person understands that, okay, this is how it is now. And so let me plan for when it's not going to be like this. I'm just not going to be fuck off all of my energy when I'm up. So then when the pendulum swings back, it's not going to hurt you as much because you already planned for the pendulum to swing back. But also when it does swing back, you're focused on the swing back forward. So you're not even worried about the swing back. That ain't what you focused on. Yeah, because you already knew that was going to happen. You ain't focused on that. You're focused on getting it back to where it's supposed to be. And,
right.
Excuse me. And by the time it gets back there, you ain't even worried about it. It'll be back there before you know it, because that's where all of your energy is moving. And all of your energy is moving this way. The pendulum has to move back that way. But if you're constantly focused on the backswing, the negative swing, you're like, oh, damn, this is fucked up, nigga. I'm down. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Focus on that positive shit. The universe will move things out of the way for you. It'll start to throw things into your universe. It just happens like that. Most people don't know that you're working with a blank canvas, and whatever you tell the universe, it'll give you. So if you're talking about all negative stuff all the time, it'll give you all negative shit. Whatever you want, though, the universe will give you that. That is exactly what it'll give you. It's Santa Claus. It's Santa Claus and you when you good.
But Kev, isn't that what you're always talking about when your word plays? You change the meaning of the words and the energy to the words that were originally yours and put the power back into it. You create your own reality.
Well, yeah, if you with words, so with words, every word was created with a certain vibration, whether it be negative, positive, or neutral. And you participate in that energy whenever you use the word, if you don't know the original vibration of the word.
Right.
And when you know the original vibration of the word, you can transmute it and change it to whatever you want. And you can use the word without the force of the original energy of the word. So like if I say, like, I know that nice means stupid, right? But if I use nice now, because I know it means stupid, I'm not directing that energy towards that consciously. I'm directing it towards something else. But if I didn't know nice meant stupid, my energy would go straight toward everything that word meant, because I had no idea what it meant. So I'm falling right on the line. I'm falling right in line with that energy. Right. But because I do know, I can just turn it right here. Yeah, nigga, that's nice. Because I know that most people don't know that nice means stupid. So I can use that in the world and still not be a part of that energy. Whereas I'm just trying to communicate with someone else, and they sort of what I mean.
Right.
Who just came on here with an echo? Y'all recording? Somebody recording brought the agents in? What the hell is that?
Deep state.
Somebody got some agents in here. I hear an echo. That's you, Eric? Yeah, yeah. All right, that's you, Eric. Your phone is it has back feed. So whenever you have a question, just unmute it. But just when I'm talking, just make sure you keep your phone muted so I don't hear that the echo in the back. All right, y'all. Let me share the screen. So how's quarantine, peoples?
They shouldn't have gave me quarantine. Now I can do a whole lot of stuff.
Those niggas on lockdown, boy. They giving niggas
More time to study.
They giving niggas tickets, throwing niggas in jail for being out. Not in California, but in other states I heard they giving niggas tickets. And or arresting people for being outside.
Catch up on some.
That's martial law, just so y'all know. They just not telling you it's martial law. You niggas are under martial law light, like Coors Light.
That's what I've been trying to tell my folks. That this is it's like a soft opening to a restaurant.
Yep.
This is just a test.
Yep. Because then they ain't gonna do this one right now because you ain't ready for it. You'll rebel. But next time they pull it, like in about another couple years, another year or so, another 2 years, you've already been through the experience. So you ain't gonna be tripping. You ain't gonna rebel.
They tested. Like this is warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So they gotta see what the outcome gonna be like. So they're gonna test so they know what to reposition themselves.
Well, there's a couple things that's kind of fucked up. They're doing this because they're testing, but they're also doing this because the coronavirus is doing some shit they didn't expect it to do.
True.
It's killing them, old white motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So they didn't expect they engineered it to kill Asians and ethnic people actually more so because ethnic people like Asians and niggas live horribly. Like Asians smoke a lot.
Oh yeah.
Asians smoke a lot. I don't know if y'all. I be around a lot. I live in Koreatown, nigga. I damn near can't walk down the street without walking through a puff of smoke. It's fucking crazy. In China, most of China's men smoke. Like the majority of China's men smoke. So they have bad respiratory problems. Boom, attacks it right away. But most of that stuff is probably 5G. We ain't gonna get into that today though. But the 5G technology that they're putting into your towns and your schools while you in the house on lockdown. These niggas is rolling around town and shit, secretly putting in 5G. But
yeah, that shit is crazy. That what Zoe and Phil Valentine were talking about.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That was good shit.
I didn't see it.
It was a good show.
But,
Hey,
I've been studying 5G since that shit was since they were talking about that shit.
I got a quick question, just one question on the 5G thing. We got the dual routers in our house. That one is 2.4 and the other one is 5. Is that 5G too?
No, the 5G technology ain't up yet.
That's next generation.
Okay.
That's 5 gigahertz.
Yeah, it's 5G.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. No, the 5G, that's what they're doing now. The 5G towers are like, you won't even see them. They're really small. That's why they have to put a lot of them around because they're a lot smaller than the big towers. And so they put in the cable underground and then they put all these little smaller towers, and the smaller towers are closer to your homes. That's why it's really fucked up. So you don't see them, so they got to put them closer to home, but that's why your shit is going to work faster because the towers are going to be close to your house. Excuse me. So, that's why the electromagnetic fields are going to be crazy, the electromagnetic radiation. Now, that's a different thing. It's not going to affect melanated people as the same way it affects Caucasians because you got melanin. Melanin absorbs radio frequencies and vibrations and transmute it. So it won't affect you as much as them, I should say. It still will affect you because there's going to be some crazy ass power out, and you're not skilled in knowing how to use your melanin. I mean, it's working on its own, but for it to work at an optimal level like that, you would have to be, versed in doing that through your life. You have to be eating a clean diet and meditating and all that type of shit for your melanin to be working. Hydration is how your melanin works well. So if you got some shit going on, your melanin is not working at an optimal level, and it's not going to transmute 5G radiation like it probably could were you healthy. So just get some blockers in your house, electromagnetic radiation blockers like orgone pyramids.
Got them on the computer right here, right with me right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I got an orgone circle on my computer right now, but orgone pyramids, you want to get them and set them up in a grid, like set them up about I would say about 6 to 8 feet away from each other, so that they create a blanket field. So wherever you are most, get them in that grid. You know, so however many you need. If you got a big house, get about 3 or 4 of them and strategically place them. Also, you can get a giant copper meditation pyramid. That also blocks it too. I used to have one of those in my crib. Magnets.
What size is do you recommend?
For what? The meditation pyramid?
Nah, the Oregon pyramid. It's like was it 3 by 4 inch?
Damn. I can't. I don't got a ruler right now. But I'm looking at one. I can't. I ain't got no measure thing. Fits about in your palm, like the whole base covers your palm, maybe a little bit bigger than your palm. I don't know what that is though.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I got. It's I think it's about 4 inches, 3 inches, 3.5.
Yeah, so you set that, you set one close to it. If you're at a computer and stuff all the time, make sure you got one of those close to it, and then you can set the other ones up as you think you need. Especially if you got one in your bedroom or next to your bed. But yeah, pyramids, magnets, obelisk, crystal obelisk, like crystal quartz or rose quartz.
Salt rocks too.
Yeah, salt rock crystal. Yeah, absolutely. I got all those in here, so you can create different fields that disrupt their radiation field. But you gotta have it though. You just this shit really is real. 5G mimics the radiation. It eats up the available oxygen in your area, in your field. So it lowers the oxygen in your body, which creates an acidic body. So it allows whatever viruses and toxins and all that shit in your body to take over and kill you. Which is one of the other things before we get into this. Well, y'all need to start being more healthy because they engineered it to attack high blood pressure. See, it's an engineered virus that attacks high blood pressure. Who do you think that's for? Who got the most high blood pressure than anybody in the world? Niggas. They engineered this for niggas. Now the counterbalance is your melatonin kills it. So you're gonna, depending on how healthy you are, your melatonin could actually ward it off. Or if you're super toxified, or you have pre-existing conditions, you're probably gonna have a battle. Like Scarface, the rapper Scarface. This nigga, he doing through it, but he had asthma, and then he got pneumonia from having the asthma. And so that's what really kills you. The virus lowers your immune system. Your immune system fights the virus off so much that you get pneumonia, and all the other bacteria and shit are able to take over. Your immune system is taxed. So that's why it's important to eat healthy. Excuse me, take a lot of vitamin C, because that's your immune system going to the gym. So no matter what's going on, if them motherfuckers, you got Debo immune system rolling around, or on Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock, them big ass swole white blood cells, then you're good. But most of these people, you're smoking weed, you're smoking blunts, which the blunt paper has 4,000 chemicals in the blunt paper. You're doing all kind of alcohol and meat and all kind of shit. It's just fucking y'all. Then not to mention you're breathing in toxins within your house. It's called volatile VOC chemicals in your house, which come from the paints and all that. You're just being overly toxified all day. So if you're not consciously doing something to kind of ward it off, to kind of purify it and balance it out, your body's polluted. And so when it gets sick, that's what sickness is. Your body expelling all the toxins that you've accumulated over time. That's what mucus is. It's just toxins. Your body's like, get this shit out, man. I can't function with this bullshit in me, nigga. So healthy eating, y'all. Alkaline, drinking a lot of alkaline water, vitamin C, Keep that immune, you know, at least minimum of 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. But that's the shit. All right, let me get into this. Let me share the screen. Y'all see the screen yet?
Yeah.
All right, so most of the day is we're just gonna deal with, well, not mostly, but we're gonna get into jurisdiction. But I'm gonna show you guys a video, and y'all gonna have to kind of bear with the video because the dude's doing it is super Christian. He's one of them Christian sovereignty cats. So they have a different way of looking at the law through Jesus's eyes and all that bullshit. But the niggas' the law is good because they, you know, the law is the law. It no matter, it don't need Jesus for you for your interpretation of the law. It just is. So every, you know, the law, the facts of the law are the facts of the law. So he's going to break down a lot about jurisdiction and about, because this is basically if you were sovereign, or if you were not. I don't like to use the word sovereign anymore because I'm going to show you why. We're going to watch another video about how these police officers are studying you and studying. So they have a video that they put out about sovereign citizens. So, but they mention Aboriginal people in the video. So I'm gonna just show y'all some things about jurisdiction and how actually jurisdiction is a major thing, and you don't even actually have to be an Aboriginal sovereign citizen to challenge jurisdiction. And if you challenge jurisdiction in the court, they can't move. The court cannot move once once jurisdiction is challenged. This is an old maxim of law. Let's understand an old fact of law. In order for you to be able to rule over me, you have to have authority over me. You ain't got no authority, nigga, kick rocks. So the authority has to be established right off the bat, which is why they do it before you even come into court by with your notice to appear. Because notice to appear, what does appear mean? Come on, somebody. What does appear mean? Legally, the legal definition of appear. Yo, did we get quiet all of a sudden?
Does it have to be present?
Huh?
Be present?
Nope. Now, one of the ones who already know, y'all should have answered. He don't know. Now, he just took a shot. I commend you for taking a shot without knowing. All the rest of y'all with that damn muted goddamn fucking, Y'all been in here. Who knows? I know somebody know what appearance mean. And this is the 9th class. Come on, stop playing.
It's an appearance when you're when you're giving jurisdiction to the court.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the formal submission to the jurisdiction of the court. So when you sign a notice to appear, which they call a ticket, not a ticket, you're giving over your jurisdiction to the system. And I'll tell you even how tricky, how even ill and fucked up it is in California. You might have to check with this in your state. When they pull you over in California for an infraction or a misdemeanor, because that's usually what you do, unless you, it's going to be a misdemeanor or infraction if they pull you over, unless you ran somebody over with your car. But even still, if they pull you over, most of the things are going to fall under certain infractions or misdemeanors. But when they do that, they pull you over and they let you go, that's technically an arrest. They call that an arrest and a release. And they do that because they say that's not enough room to take everyone into custody for the jail. Excuse me, not enough room in jail to take everyone into custody. So it's an arrest. They get your promise to appear, which is your consent, so they, your jurisdiction, and then they let you go. But it's the whole thing is called an arrest, technically an arrest, but they don't tell you that. But if they, excuse me, if you were pulled over illegally, if your constitutional rights were violated, meaning they didn't have any probable cause to pull you over, that's a violation of your constitutional rights. And they can be sued, and their bonds can be, their bonds, you can place a lien on their bonds.
So if they pull you over without probable cause, that's an illegal arrest in California?
Damn right. No, they can pull you over for reasonable suspicion. If they pull you over without reasonable suspicion.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Kev, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a traffic infraction last week just from hitting a red light, and I got it in the mail. And it says to challenge it by appearing at the court, which what you're saying right now is. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was waiting for this one.
There it is.
Sorry.
As soon as you walk in there, you're going to be in jurisdiction. As soon as you appear, you're in jurisdiction.
Well, I haven't signed anything or mailed it back yet. So that was what I was wondering. What should I do with that?
See, that's how they're going to get you. Either you're going to pay it, which is you're in jurisdiction, or you're going to walk, or you're going to appear, which is going to be, you're going to be in jurisdiction. That's going to take you more time to pay it. That's all. You don't have the status yet to challenge their jurisdiction. Well, actually, the video we're going to show today, it actually answers that. If you're in the system, how to challenge jurisdiction, but you're not versed enough to do this, so I wouldn't do this. I'm going to introduce you to it, but I wouldn't advise you to do it. I wouldn't advise you to do it yet because you're not a master of this, and it can get you in more trouble.
So Kevin, would that include what you're saying? If they gave you a ticket, summons, whatever, and you signed it, but you signed on the bottom of it, all rights reserved. Does that help your case?
Yep.
That's what I was
all day
thinking.
long. Huh?
That's what I was thinking to write, because I was looking that up when I actually got the infraction mailed to me, and I was looking up, do I need to sign all rights reserved on that?
Yep.
When I send it in, or what?
You sure did. You sure should have. Because when you didn't reserve your rights, that meant you consented.
I mean, I didn't get it from an actual police officer. I only got it in the mail. They sent it was from a stoplight that got.
Do you have a driver's license?
I do.
Uh-huh. Did you fill out a contract when you got that driver's license?
I guess I did. It's been a while.
There you go. And you agreed to everything that came along with those laws in that contract. Right. You don't see it on the contract. At the very end of the contract, it says by signing this contract, you agree to the driver's license compact and agree to be bound by all the laws of the state of blah 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 and boo 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 boo. And you had to sign that. You say you consent and you agree to be bound. That's what it says. And I just went to get my ID, my California ID, and it's the same thing as the driver's license contract. So even when you get an ID and you fill and you sign, yes, you actually agree to be bound by vehicle codes, the statutes of the state. If you don't sign all rights reserved, of course, which I did. But if you didn't do that,
hey Kev, I got a question.
Yep.
I got a traffic violation for parking at a meter, but they don't have a place where I could dispute it, and I didn't sign nothing because they ain't have anywhere where I could dispute it. So that's against the law, right?
Wait a minute. Say that again. You got a traffic ticket, and they didn't have a place for you to be able to dispute it.
Yes.
They don't have a Department of Transportation in your city.
Nope.
So who issues the tickets? Who's the authority that issues the tickets? Look, man, you asking me questions. We supposed to get on. This ain't Q&A. God damn it, y'all niggas. This will take up the whole class. Y'all asking y'all these questions.
Keep going then. Keep going then. Ain't no problem.
Y'all gotta ask me this stuff later, man, because this stuff will take up the whole class.
All right.
Everybody got tickets this week. Shit.
Is that what happened? Y'all got tickets?
Nah, where
Everybody
I'm
got
at,
tickets this week?
nah, where I'm at, that's how they make their bread. They walk around with these parking violation joints and just hand you out tickets.
So, oh, they don't got a car?
No, I'm saying it's like they just an outside entity out of the state been putting up. They got a contract with my city, and they've been putting up these meters all throughout downtown. Like
so
that.
that's a contract. Oh, that's a private contract. So you can deal with that. You can deal with that privately if you understood contracting. You ain't got no contract with those people. But that's a little more intricate. Homeboy's gonna cover that a little bit though with jurisdiction, and so we'll touch on it. But like I said, you're not versed enough to be able to talk this stuff. So you shouldn't go down there talking any law that you don't know how to back. Remember, these niggas are ninjas, and so you should never walk into a courtroom at all. Period. You don't have to. But that's by law. The law allows you not to have to walk into a courtroom. But most people don't know that, and they think you have to actually go there to appear in court. But if you do, you better be ready to battle that nigga, because that's a ninja on the other side of them swinging doors. That judge is a ninja. And this nigga gonna try to get you in jurisdiction any way possible. You may walk in there not in jurisdiction, but this nigga will try to get you in jurisdiction any way possible. All right, first one we're gonna watch though is this lawyer actually, who was hemmed up by some police officers, and this brother was actually he kind of did stuff right, but he didn't know the law enough to not get in trouble, and he should have, being that you're a lawyer. But so we're just gonna touch on it and watch the interaction. He did what he was supposed to do, but he could have done a lot better if he had understood and known the law. This is a damn commercial. Yep.
You are a trader. Plus 500 is the place for you.
God damn it, what are you doing?
You need 5G, Kev.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers court cases, search warrants, and obstruction, and is brought to us by AL.com's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the episode, I want to invite you to check out the new Audit the Audit merchandise shelf just below this video. Randomly select Write in and audit the interaction. On February 23rd, 2017, attorneys Victor Revel and Megan Garcia were leaving the courthouse with their client, Lloyd Edwards, after appearing in court in reference to a protection from abuse order initiated by Mr. Edwards' wife, Jasmine. Before leaving the courthouse, Mr. Edwards gave 2 of his 3 cell phones to Mr. Revel. As Ms. Garcia, Mr. Revel, and Mr. Edwards exited the courthouse, they were confronted by Deputy Ashworth and Deputy Ratliff of the Blount County Sheriff's Office in Blount County, Alabama, who were attempting to serve a search warrant of Mr. Edwards and his vehicle.
Ashland Sheriff's Office.
The unit weapons on your person at this time that I didn't know about. RC. So now in the car. Okay. What do you have normal? Small pistol. Okay. But it was also part of the search. Okay. So I'm gonna have to ask you. You got the keys here on the wheel? The keys here on the wheel. You pat you down, make sure you don't have any other weapon. Your safety and ours.
As mentioned earlier in the video, Mr. Edwards was appearing in court about a protection order issued by his wife. Mrs. Edwards alleged that Mr. Edwards had abused her and their daughter, and testified that Mr. Edwards' cell phones contained proof of her claims. Mrs. Edwards' testimony led the prosecution to pursue a search warrant for Mr. Edwards' person and vehicle, specifically targeting his 3 cell phones. I called the Revel law firm, and Mr. Revel stated that there was no evidence of abuse on the phones, and that the phones actually contained evidence that supported Mr. Edwards' innocence. Mr. Revel claims that Mrs. Edwards had exchanged explicit messages with Mr. Edwards, which indicated that her interactions with him were consensual, and that he intended to submit the phones as evidence for the defense. Mr. Edwards later stated that Mr. Revel told him that, quote, there may come a day when the prosecution wants your phone. And one of the attorneys asked him for the 2 phones just before exiting the courtroom. The phones were then placed into Mrs. Garcia's briefcase prior to exiting the building. Garcia's briefcase prior to exiting the building. The phones were then placed into Mrs. Garcia's briefcase prior to exiting the building.
Hold on, let me go back and get that full
There
thought.
may evidence for the defense. Mr. Edwards later stated that Mr. Revel told him that, quote, there may come a day when the prosecution wants your phone. And one of the attorneys asked him for the 2 phones just before exiting the courtroom. The phones were then placed into Mrs. Garcia's briefcase prior to exiting the building.
The warrants that you all have are for his person and for his vehicle.
That's correct.
So he has given the phone that's on his person. Okay, I have videos of him handing the phone to you, you handing the phone to her, it's in the satchel right now. Yo, you all do have that, but that is not on, when you all.
No, I'm not
here
here for help with Brian.
That was not on his person. So you all not entitled to that. Well, I think we'll go the other route, get that other phone.
As Mr. Revel mentioned, the language of the search warrant dictates that the search may be performed on Mr. Edwards' immediate person and vehicle only. Since Mr. Edwards was not in possession of the phones at the time of the warrant being served, the deputies are not entitled to them. If the deputies had acquired a search warrant for the phones themselves, then they may have had some authority to seize them. But the validity of such a search warrant would be questionable, considering that the defense also intends to submit the phones as evidence. The search warrant presented by the officers does not authorize them to search Mrs. Garcia, but the prosecution does have a trick up its sleeve, which we will discuss later in the video. After realizing that Mr. Revel is refusing to comply with the search, Deputy Ashworth calls the district attorney's office for advice on how to proceed.
Hi, we're standing here. We have it on video that he handed his cell phone to one and then handed it to another, and it's in the satchel that is right here.
Are we being detained at this moment in time?
They're not denying it, they have it on video.
Detain you until we determine the next course of action.
Now, that's an unlawful detainment. He don't have a warrant for the police. He don't have a warrant for the lawyer. The lawyer should have been like, you don't have a warrant for me. Unless I've committed a crime, you don't have a right to detain me at all. I've committed absolutely no crime. He should have stated that. See, this is the fear though. Look, this nigga, he a nigga lawyer, and he's so scared of the popo, he's scared to assert his rights on that. He know he right. He know he ain't done nothing wrong. To the point where he asked for, am I being detained? And when he said, till we can ascertain, well, what am I here for? You don't have a warrant for me. Why am I being detained? Unless you got a warrant for me or anything on my person, this is an unlawful detainment. He should have known that and got at it immediately and had that on camera.
Well, I have this person and vehicle.
I'm gonna turn this off.
Okay. Okay. We either need the phone out of the satchel, or we will have to detain you and get a search warrant to get the phone.
So you're gonna well, okay.
Right here, he should have known the law. She a police officer. You a lawyer. She had to just call somebody at the police station who still is another police officer. Really? And ask them what they should do. And they told them the exact wrong thing to do, which means obviously they don't know the law. So being the fact that he the only nigga there that know the law, he should have been the one talking it. You do not have a right to detain me at all unless you have a warrant for my arrest. You need to explain to me what violation, what law am I violating, or I'm going. I'm free to go. But this nigga is scared as shit. He ain't moving.
Well, we're not going to give you anything on our person that you don't have a right to. So if you detain us, you have to have certain constitutional safeguards to do that. But you're going to detain us, then detain us. We're not going to run. So, and you all tell us we are being detained. Is that right?
Okay, you both are under arrest for obstructing government operations.
Obstructing government operations.
That's correct.
Definitely unlawful arrest. We're under arrest.
Mr. Revel is more than correct that this arrest is unlawful. Not only are the deputies charging Mr. Revel under the authority of an irrelevant search warrant, but neither Mr. Revel or Mrs. Garcia did anything that would constitute a violation of Alabama Code 13A-10-2. The code states that a person commits the crime of obstructing governmental operations if, by means of intimidation, physical force, or interference, intentionally obstructs the administration of law or prevents a public servant from performing a governmental function. Neither Mr. Revel nor Mrs. Garcia conducted themselves in a manner that was intimidating.
He should have known that. When they said we're obstructing you with justice, that's a common charge that people get, taken to jail for. And being the fact that he's a defense attorney, he should have known what the obstruction law was and challenged it immediately on camera. And not, we're not gonna run. If you say we're detained. No, man. Stand your motherfucking ground. You know the law. The law works for them just the same way it worked for you. Or against them the same way it works against you. Or they're trying to make it work against you. They have done absolutely nothing wrong. They didn't even stop them. They didn't even ask them, yo, can we get the phones out of your bag? They didn't stop them from doing anything. He should have known that. Nigga, you didn't ask me to get the phones out the bag. I didn't tell you no, that you couldn't go in that bag. None of that happened. But this nigga's a little bit intimidated and scared. You can tell a little bit. That's why he ain't really flexing. But he should have been able to flex like that. He should have flexed like, nah, nigga, I ain't do nothing.
Physically forceful or interference. They both commits the crime of obstructing governmental operations if, by means of intimidation, physical force, or interference, intentionally obstructs the administration of law or prevents a public servant from performing a governmental function. Neither Mr. Revel nor Mrs. Garcia conducted themselves in a manner that was intimidating, physically forceful, or interfering. They both simply stated that they would not comply with the deputies' unlawful orders. They did nothing to prevent the deputies from seizing the phone. If the deputies were so sure that the search warrant authorized them to seize the phones, then what was stopping them from taking Mrs. Garcia's bag and getting them? Certainly not Mr. Revel or Mrs. Garcia.
Why didn't they snatch the bag and search the bag then? Somebody tell me.
Because they knew the bag belonged to Garcia and not the defendant.
And what is that?
That would be an unlawful seizure, right?
Unlawful search and seizure, yes. They knew that. They can't search somebody. You ain't got no warrant for her bag. At all. Yeah, they have done nothing wrong. Especially they ain't done wrong on camera. And they say, well, we saw you do, well, we weren't presented with an order for the phones when that happened. I didn't do anything illegal when I put the phones in my bag. That wasn't unlawful when I did that. And so when you walk up and you have a warrant only for him, you don't have a warrant for me. The law, you can't search me for anything unless I've broken the law. And when I put the phones in my bag, that was not breaking the law. Had you had warrants, had he presented the dude with a warrant before, and he saw him put the phones in the bag, then that's obstruction of justice. But that didn't happen. And he should have known that and busted this cop in that, because it's obvious these two motherfuckers don't know shit. It is absolutely obvious that these two people don't know shit.
You don't have no weapon on you without horseman.
We have it on video.
We have not broken the law. So if you're arresting us.
See how non-forceful he is in talking this shit? Nigga, he ain't listening to you. You stated no specific laws, nothing that he's actually violated, how he can get in trouble, nothing. He said none of that to put the fear of God in this nigga. That's why you gotta know this shit. Like, look, motherfucker, you violated my constitutional rights. I'm coming after your bond tomorrow. He would have, oh, huh? And you too, because homegirl gotta have a bond too. I'm coming after both of y'all bonds tomorrow. And whoever was on that phone who authorized you to charge me with obstruction. All of y'all. Getting them bonds is coming after getting snatched tomorrow.
I'm arrested. I'm being arrested for obstructing government operation.
That's correct.
If you don't mind. Y'all want to arrest 2 billion for this charge? You sure you are? You subject to the law? I am subject to the law. And this is, and who are you?
I'm Sue Ashworth.
Sue Ashworth. And you're arresting us on her orders? Okay. Deputy Randall, yes, I want to make sure that.
Oh my God, are you fucking serious?
Hearing Lewis say it, and I'm going to tell you about this.
And who are you?
I'm Sue Ashworth.
Sue Ashworth. And you're arresting us on her orders? Okay. Deputy Randall, yes, I want to make sure that you know from our position was that this search warrant, this warrant was given to him after he gave us some things for us to use in his defense. And so we did not do anything to keep you all from doing you all's job. Now, if you all want to this factual and go through and do it, we're not preventing you from doing the search warrant on the car. From the moment he's entered the courthouse, he's been under surveillance. Okay? For the reasons of this search warrant. All right? I'm sitting here and watch you and him and her. You looked up. Matter of fact, you did look up at the camera 2 or 3 times. He pulled the phone out and handed it to you. You handed it back to him. He was fooling with, I'm guessing, a password. And after a short period of time, he handed it back to you. You handed it to her. She put it in you. Okay? That is evidence for the search warrant. And you agree with me that you all served this search warrant subsequent to that, after that, right? Yeah. After we left out the jail.
That's the smartest shit that nigga did. What did he do? What did he just do?
He said you were too late on. If you just did the warrant earlier, you got me.
But what did he just? But yeah, he asked. That's the question he asked. But what did he do though?
Called them out, made him admit that they fucked up.
Made him admit that he fucked up. But what's the importance of him making him admit he fucked up?
He set a time frame for when the stuff happened.
Right. But what's the importance for him doing all of that?
Evidence.
How is it evident?
Confession.
Huh? It's on video.
There you go. They made sure he got this nigga saying on tape, I didn't put the phones in the bag before you served him with the warrant. That's obstruction of justice. If I know that you want something that has to do with evidence and I try to hide that evidence, yes, that's obstruction of justice. However, if we're just going on about our daily fucking functions and he gives me a phone and I put it in my bag, that's not breaking the law. I'm putting the phone in my bag for him. And then you come and serve him with a warrant after that for anything that's on his person. That means you can't go in my bag legally because I didn't break a law. He didn't break a law when he handed me the phone.
So, Kel, I got a question. So, with all that being correct, even though that's all correct, they still have him in cuffs, so that's still technically an arrest, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he can reverse it and have them take the cuffs off, can he?
If he knew enough law, he could. It's under this police discretion if they take you in or not. Them niggas always can let anybody go if they want.
Right.
Anytime. They can let anybody go they want. So if you, like, I'll give you an example. When I was at UCLA, I had the handcuffs on me. They said, oh, you got a warrant. Put me in handcuffs. After the captain got there, I told her all the ways that I was about to sue her and the whole goddamn place. She let me go. With knowing that that was a warrant in my name. Or in the name of Kevin Barringer. Well, we ain't gonna take you to jail because you know a little bit too much, nigga. that's what that was. It was literally just like that. I got at her but I got at her calmly though. I didn't yell at her or anything. I was as calm as homeboy was, and I just told her, "You're really making a mistake right now. I can sue you in your private capacity." So they have something called qualified immunity. But when they break your constitutional rights, the qualified immunity is gone. And she knew what I was talking about. So, and they had like 6 cop cars out there and fucking 10 cops doing all this shit for a nigga who didn't pay fucking, I didn't pay the parking meter. They got 10 cops out there for a nigga who didn't pay the parking meter. That's insane. So
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, both of these lawyers have a case against the sheriff's department.
Yeah, we're gonna finish the video.
Okay.
We're gonna finish the video. But yeah, so when they do that, when you know the law and you spout them the law, you assert the law, I should say, not spout, but you assert the law with confidence. Because most of them niggas don't know the law. Why you think she there? She there because he don't know shit. And she don't really know nothing because she had to call in. So neither one of them know anything. And he the lawyer. Which proves that he's showing that they don't know anything just by the fact that he got them to confess on camera. That they didn't do anything wrong. And that you violated this nigga's rights. You unlawfully arrested this nigga. But if you know that much law, you should have known enough law to assert with confidence and let this nigga know, look, dude, if you take me in, I'm coming for your ass, homie. This is absolutely an unlawful arrest. I cannot obstruct justice if there was no justice being claimed when I put the phones in my bag. If there was no law or violation of law being claimed when I put the phones in my bag. So he should know enough for that, but we're about to see how he gets out of it.
The deputies fail to understand the authoritative limitations of the search warrant, and Mr. Revel and Mrs. Garcia were arrested and charged under Code 13A-10-2. The prosecution initially offered to drop the charges if Mr. Revel agreed to write a letter apologizing and admitting that the deputies did nothing wrong. But Mr. Revel rejected their offer and decided to proceed with a trial.
You see how they tried to get him?
Yeah.
They took that video back. They went back to the precinct with that, and they was like, "Oh, y'all fucked up." They went back to the precinct with that. Like, you arrested a lawyer in front of the courthouse and he didn't do nothing? And you didn't have a warrant?
Liability.
You didn't have a warrant to arrest this dude? Are
Yeah,
you
because
crazy?
he could sue the county for saying, okay, people walked out and now they don't trust me and they've spread my name around.
Exactly. Man, he can sue them for all kind of stuff. Seriously, defamation to his character? Well, shit, the lawyer got this nigga got put in handcuffs. He don't know nothing. They ain't hiring that nigga. Anything could happen, but he actually about to look good in this video. But he looked good already from when he got them to admit that they that they fucking violated the law on camera. And so they was like, oh, they went back and they saw that video. They was like, you said that on camera? Ah. They was like, ah. So they went, hey, check this out, man. We'll let y'all go if you say we didn't do nothing wrong. How about that? Nigga was like, nah, we good. Go ahead, throw me in the jail, homie. We good. We coming for that. We coming for that money.
Ensuing criminal trial, Mr. Revel to write a letter apologizing and admitting that the deputies did nothing wrong. But Mr. Revel rejected their offer and decided to proceed with a trial. In the ensuing criminal trial, Mr. Revel and Mrs. Garcia's defense argued that the state failed to establish the defendant's intent and that no crime was committed because the search warrant did not authorize the search of Mr. Edwards' attorneys. The prosecution argued that they were entitled to the phones under the exigent circumstances doctrine, which is a legal precedent that allows for warrantless searches in circumstances where evidence has a high likelihood of being destroyed, such as cell phone data. I have covered the exigent circumstances doctrine in the previous video, which I will link in the info card above. During the trial, Mr. Edwards, who was still under investigation.
So just really quick, so y'all know what that is, who didn't watch that video with us, y'all wasn't in that class. Police don't need a warrant when the situation is what he just said, exigent circumstances, meaning there's a certain amount of time when the incident is happening that evidence can be destroyed, someone can be hurt, all of these different things, certain different things that can happen within the certain amount of time when the incident is happening, that police officers have a split second to make a decision and be able to save evidence or save a life or whatever the hell it may be. And so they're allowed to do that. Most of which is just save a life if there's danger. So like if somebody was going to commit suicide, if the person that was a danger to themselves, they can bust in. If somebody was being held captive, they don't need a warrant. If you was about to flush cocaine down the toilet, they don't need a warrant because they like you about to destroy evidence, toss a gun or whatever it is. So that type of stuff.
At the time, testified for the prosecution, but stated that District Attorney Casey tried to prep him in his testimony, even though she had reportedly recused herself from the case, and Mr. Edwards became a key witness for Mr. Revel's defense. Ultimately, Judge King acquitted Mr. Revel and Mrs. Garcia of all charges and stated that the deputies were wrong about the authority of the search warrant and that the defendants never physically prevented the deputies from carrying out their duties. Mr. Revel and Mrs. Garcia were forced to recuse themselves from Mr. Edwards' case after filing 2 separate federal lawsuits against Deputy Ratliff and Deputy Ashworth, as well as District Attorney Casey and the Assistant District Attorney, Scott Gilliland. It is worth noting that Mr. Edwards has yet to go to trial, and his case has been reset by a different grand jury several times over the past 2 years. It is highly irregular for a district attorney to delay indictment when the suspect has been charged, and there is merit to the notion that she may be delaying Mr. Edwards' prosecution so that she can use his pending case as leverage against him for his testimony in the federal lawsuit against her. Nonetheless, Mr. Revel is optimistic about the case and told me that he expects to reach a
So, first of all, that's some bullshit. This dude has a simple case, and they have extended his case 2 years. That's insane. for a simple domestic case. They've extended this case 2 years. They're definitely gonna try to squeeze homeboy for the federal case. Now, you didn't see nothing. You don't know nothing. You told them to hide the phones from us because you knew we were coming. You admit to that, I'll let you off the domestic violence case. All right. So I just want to make sure that y'all understand certain laws is really important for you guys to know the surrounding laws. What's that Wu-Tang lyric, that Wu-Tang verse where it says, it's common sense that I master my circumference. I don't know if you ever heard that verse, but that's absolute truth. Wherever you are, you need to know the laws of your surroundings, what governs your surroundings. So before we get into the jurisdiction thing, I wanted to show y'all this. This is a video that the police force made about sovereign citizens. So I just want y'all to see how they studying you guys and let you know that if y'all not studying the law really, y'all ain't trying to win. These niggas are studying. They are in the classroom, they're studying.
Being brought to you by Star and Shield Group, dedicated to the public safety community and their families. What you need to know about the sovereign citizen movement.
I'm Sadie Darnell, Sheriff of Alachua County. This video is being produced by the Florida Sheriff's Association and the U.S. Attorney's Office to raise awareness for law enforcement regarding the sovereign citizen movement and how they may impact us.
So just real quick, one of the main reasons I'm showing this is because most sovereign citizens are really just constitutionalists. They just try to enforce the laws in the Constitution, and which is what you're trying to do. Even if you're not out of the system, that's what you're doing. If you bought a constitutional rights card, if you're you're getting pulled over, and you're saying it's a violation of your rights, you're saying it's a violation of my constitutional rights. So, all of this is the same. Just the thing with the sovereign citizens, they've just claimed a certain status, different than you, that gives them a better position or much more of a chance of winning that argument.
Citizen is a catch-all phrase used to describe a variety of anti-government groups and individuals who share a common belief that our United States government, including our court system and law enforcement, is a fraud and they are exempt from our authority.
Now to Georgia, where the streets outside a county courthouse were quiet again after a bloody shootout on its steps.
Just before lunch, this was the sound of the gunfight outside the Forsyth County Courthouse north of Atlanta, recorded on a cell phone by an eyewitness. Police say that Dennis Marks, a self-described anti-government sovereign citizen, was behind the wheel of this silver SUV, carrying an assault rifle, tear gas, pepper spray, 2 handguns, a bomb, and flex ties that he planned to use to restrain people. Marks was part of an underground movement that believes its members don't have to follow the law. The government calls them domestic terrorists. They publicly reject violence, but members have had shootouts with police before.
I'm Pamela Marsh, and I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Florida. There have been numerous encounters by law enforcement with sovereign citizens across the nation and right here in the state of Florida. We've seen sovereign citizens who've created their own driver's license and vehicle tags. They've filed million-dollar false liens against government officials and law enforcement.
See, you can file a lien against these motherfuckers. That shit works. This ain't even the correct lien. This is just a common law lien that they filed against these cops, and this shit was working. But then they put out a law against this about filing false liens. But I'm trying to tell you, man, this shit works. The law works against them niggas. They use this against you every single day. It works against them just the same way. You just need to know what laws to use.
Officials. We've seen sovereign citizens who created their own driver's license and vehicle tags. They've filed million-dollar false liens against government officials and law enforcement officials. They may challenge the validity of our state and national laws. Sovereign citizens may tell you that you have no authority over them and that they are not within your jurisdiction.
First off, do y'all hear the music in the background? They're trying to, this is some old holier than thou. We're only here to save people. We only want to help. And these people are hurting. That's what this music is. Like, we're here to save the community. We're here for you. Bullshit.
But that is and national laws. Sovereign citizens may tell you that you have no authority over them and that they are not within your jurisdiction, but that is simply not true. It's our hope that through this training video, you will learn more about what sovereign citizens believe, and that most of all, it will help keep you safe.
Known as sovereign citizens. People who do not believe that many of the basic laws of this country apply to them.
I'm not an American citizen. I do not recognize them. I am by counsel.
They have disrupted courtrooms, led police on high-speed chases, and even engaged in murderous shootouts with authorities.
Oh my God.
There are an estimated 300,000 sovereign citizens in America. The FBI classifies them as a domestic terrorist movement. Many of these people followed a scary progression from passionate but peaceful to ultra-violent.
A sovereign is an individual that interprets the Constitution of the United States differently. Sovereigns believe essentially that the United States government is not a legitimate government, but is a corporation. So they will not have a driver's license, a vehicle registration, an insurance card, or anything in which there is some type of implicit contract, verbal or nonverbal contract, in which the United States government can hold sway over them as a slave. Sovereigns believe in two different things.
That nigga had that philosophy down pretty good. See, they studying the shit out of you. Out of these niggas.
Each of us are two. Sovereigns believe in two different things. Each of us are two distinct individuals. We are our free man, which is our flesh and blood, our human aspect, and we're our straw man. And that straw man is that corporate slave, if you will, to the United States corporate government.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little...
Goddamn commercial. Yep. Shit.
If you go on another website, will it work when you're watching these?
No.
Is created with the same name to confuse... He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So there's a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, do you stand under our authority? Oopsie-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government.
The rhetoric of a sovereign is very important from an officer safety standpoint. You'll hear a lot that I'm a free man of the land.
I am
Then
protected
shush,
by the land.
shush.
Do not tell me to shut up. I am the living natural man, and my voice will be heard.
They will ask you, what is the reason for stopping me?
I'm asking again, what am I being pulled over for? What am I being stopped for? Am I being detained?
I am traveling, I am not driving.
Now, did you just see how this motherfucker act like you asking them why you were pulled over is wrong? Everything that they're talking about in here, they're acting like the act of it is wrong. They're not saying how it's wrong at all. They're just saying what they do, and they're alluding to it being wrong. They're acting like it's just wrong. Like, nigga, we're the police, so obviously you can't ask us why we're pulling you over. How dare you? It's absolutely insane.
I do not have to provide a driver's license because I am a sovereign.
All right, stay seated, Scott. You have a license on you?
I do not submit
You
to
do not?
unlawful inquiry, sir.
Okay, so you don't have a driver's license?
I have a right to travel unencumbered freely.
You do not have jurisdiction over me. Are you a peace officer or a police officer? There's a difference in the sovereign rhetoric.
I also need to know if you're a constitutional common law peace officer, or are you a police officer? Because there is a difference.
Some sovereigns will ask you to fill out paperwork explaining your jurisdiction over them. Some will be argumentative, but the argument that you will get most is that you have, as a law enforcement officer, you have no jurisdiction over them. And they will constantly repeat that. Their objective is to confuse you. You don't know their level of commitment. If they are providing this information in order to confuse you or in order to distract you to the point where they can take advantage of you and assault you or kill you.
See, now this is absolute bullshit. They've taken two sovereigns who killed the father and the guy and his kid, who killed two cops, and they act like all sovereigns do that now. They took one incident and they running with that incident. That shit happened like 10, 15 years ago, and they running with that whole goddamn incident and act like all these niggas do this. And this is how they're able to get backing for them going against the sovereign movement.
May the 20th, 2010 started out like any other day. Two veterans of our West Memphis, Arkansas Police Department, Bill Evans and Brandon Pallard, were patrolling the interstate as part of the department's drug and addiction team, something they love to do. They became involved in what seemed to be a routine traffic stop, though I've always warned my officers there is no such thing. But really, how much more routine can you get in pulling over a father and son in what looked like a church bus? My men didn't realize who or what they were dealing with. Neither officer made it home. And one of them was my son. I'm Bob Powdert, Chief of the West Memphis Police Department. My officers, Bill and my son Brandon, didn't realize that there are people at war with this country that are not international terrorists. They are seemingly ordinary people, just like you and me, but they don't recognize the federal government's authority to impose laws or taxes on them. They're known as sovereign citizens. Their beliefs may sound so out there that they appear comical or crazy, but don't discount or ignore these people because they're willing to kill and be killed for these beliefs. We as law enforcement officers need to recognize this very real threat so we can protect ourselves. And maybe if Brandon and Bill had been able to recognize the warning signs of sovereign beliefs, they'd be alive today.
Indicators from an officer safety standpoint is there are indicators on the vehicle itself. It could be bumper stickers. It could be a specific type of homemade license plate. They will not have legitimate driver's licenses or vehicle registration. However, they will have homemade licenses or registration, which furthers their cause. There's three types of sovereign categories in which we see regularly. Constitutional sovereigns, religious sovereigns, which believe the only law they have to follow is God's law, and diplomatic sovereigns, which believe that they are diplomats or citizens of another country or Native American or Aboriginal to the United States, therefore not subject to United States law.
See how they threw the Aboriginals in there?
Real slick.
Well, nigga, if I'm indigenous to a country that you came to, that would make me not in your jurisdiction. If I'm here before you and this is my land. But again, those who don't know the law, this is regular police officers. You got dumbass 18, 20, 20-year-olds on the force looking at this shit. They don't know anything. They just know, oh, if I see that damn sign, if I see this, or I got to put my gun in. So, the mentality that they have, that they try to perpetuate throughout the whole police force is fear these niggas, which is why a lot of this shit goes down the way it does. Excuse me.
From a law enforcement standpoint, if a law enforcement officer has an encounter that someone is claiming to be a sovereign citizen, it is very important to have a plan. And what we suggest is when you identify someone as a sovereign, either through their rhetoric, through their paperwork, or through some other type of means, is you automatically disconnect and call for a backup officer and for a supervisor. Have a plan when it comes to dealing with a sovereign. Document the incident. Through a report, through a field contact, document the incident, and then share that information with your agency, with other surrounding agencies. And if you engage in a verbal confrontation with them, rest assured they're most likely videotaping it. But then they will use that as propaganda to discredit you as an officer, to discredit your agency, and to further their sovereign beliefs and cause.
I just asked you for your license, your registration, and your proof of insurance.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, you're being video recorded and audio recorded.
So are you.
Do not get distracted by their verbiage, by their rhetoric, by their onslaught of paperwork or language that they're giving you.
When they come into the courts, usually they have lots of paperwork that's hard to decipher. It takes a lot of time with our staff to try to decipher what it is they're trying to file. And then in their case files, they're usually very voluminous. They take a lot of time. And in the courts, they can be belligerent. Sometimes they don't want to stand up when the judge comes into the courtroom, and they're always representing themselves in the court. So you can see it does have a huge impact on the courts, on a statewide basis.
In one county in the Northern District of Florida, an individual turned violent when law enforcement went to execute a warrant at his home.
Sheriff's offices are often targeted by sovereign citizen groups because we're in charge of the courts and we run both the civil and criminal process serving. When a sovereign citizen presents you either false identification or invalid documents, you need to advise them that it's not recognized by the sheriff or the court and then take no action on it. But be very cautious of how you approach them and what you say to them because you can leave your agency open for liability.
It's not gone away.
So you can leave your agency open for liability, but if it's not accepted by the court, how are you open for liability? If it's not legal, it's not legal.
I caught that too.
Be very cautious. Like it's not, they are in jurisdiction, but be very cautious because the niggas might be right. See, again, this goes out to the dumb officers who don't know how to question anything. Look here, you just do what I tell you. You arrest a nigga anyway, but just don't go too overboard. But most of the time, and they're doing that because 8 times out of 10, most of the sovereign people that they pull over or they talk to don't know shit. There's only 2 out of 10 people who actually really know their game, know their deal.
It increases in membership and beliefs with the conspiracy, government conspiracy aspects, with the internet, with the communication aspects, it's increased.
You were born free, now you can live free.
You always have the option to reject their governance and therefore escape tyranny.
Because it's your life, and the power is really in the people.
They studying.
Here in Orange County, is we probably document a new sovereign at least once a week. And you can ask Sheriff Judd in Polk County. He has many sovereigns. Virtually any sheriff, any police department in the state of Florida has had an encounter with someone claiming to be a sovereign or a sovereign belief.
There are groups of individuals who believe that the United States government is something that they do not have to abide by and something that they will actively resist.
What you need to know about the sovereign citizen movement.
Hello, I'm Steve Casey. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Sheriff's Association. I also serve as the Chair of the National Sheriff's Association Committee of State Sheriff's Associations. This video was developed in concert with our partners at the city, county, state, and national level in order to increase officer awareness of the radical anti-government group known as sovereign citizens, which pose a real risk to officer safety and security. I want to thank all of those who have participated in the development of this video and encourage officers to share this information widely as your partner's life depend upon it.
Your partner's life may depend upon you not knowing the law. So these niggas are out here studying. I just keep reiterating that. If you ain't doing that, look at all these niggas studying you. Or just, you know, people who you probably will potentially become if you claim your Aboriginal status. They're dissecting that shit. But not really well. Because it's funny how you told old boy, don't believe him, but don't do nothing crazy. Because you still could fuck us.
You're better off just studying the law.
Right. We watched this martial law video last week, right? Who was in there? Who was in there for last week?
Yeah, we saw that last week, or I remember seeing it.
Did everybody else see it?
I had to catch it on the playlist.
Yeah, not yet.
So basically, Roger, you was the only one who saw it? You only one here from last week?
I guess so.
We're going to watch it again. You can suffer through it one more time. So before we get into that, so martial law jurisdiction. So you're under what we call a soft martial law or martial law light at the moment. And at any time, they can turn it to a hard martial law, you know, just by increasing the curfew, implementing a curfew, you know, increasing the military and police presence on the streets, which is already, it's like that right now. It's a lot of, it's popo out here right now. But I think we're only able to see them because there's less people. But that's, regardless, you can still notice them more. They're out here. So this martial law, so this is a video about breaking down about martial law potentially coming to America and what it would look like. But, excuse me, there are still certain rights that you have under martial law that will allow you to do certain things. So it's kind of this shit is crazy. We thought this shit was coming 20 years ago. And the niggas fooled us.
I was watching the videos from before, and you called it earlier this year.
I didn't know it was going down like this though. I was hoping. Well, I should say I hoped it wasn't. I knew it would be some kind of something like that, but I just hoped it wasn't.
It's finally happened.
It's shit. This is fuckery, man. These niggas have stopped the work. Now I'll say this though. It's good and bad. This is a good and bad thing. The world was going too crazy. It was moving. It was the vibration was getting too erratic and out of control, with everybody just about themselves and capitalism and making money and fucking and having fun. And I mean, it was literally just some crazy shit. Just tearing people down. You can't say this, and no, and it was going crazy. Niggas in the house for about a couple weeks. 3 weeks to a month. It's almost been about a month. Man, it's completely different. The energy of the world is just different. Like, I don't know if you've seen those videos where they show animals taking over the cities, the cities where you like San Francisco and Tel Aviv and Singapore and
India,
all this different shit. Where these animals are just coming back. They're like, where the humans go? like these niggas gone, y'all. Let's go. So they like, shit. We don't know where these niggas at, but they gone. Let's break out. So
I saw the picture of Los Angeles and how the smog had been lifted over it.
The smog been gone for a long. The smog been gone for a long time actually. And when they implemented the new emissions standards, that was like 10, 15 years ago. So that smog cloud been gone for a while. But just the fact, like in San Francisco, they got animals. They got animals that kind of live around them little areas around there. It's all out in the middle of the street, just chilling. You got fucking you got wild boar in the middle of Tel Aviv, just walking in the middle of the street. You got monkeys. You got like a gang of monkeys, which is crazy because the monkeys are used to people feeding them. This is in India somewhere. So all the monkeys, it's like hundreds and hundreds of monkeys in the middle of the street in the cities. Because ain't no people there. And they're like, where the fucking food? Where the people with the food? They don't know what to do. They're like, nigga, ain't nobody with the food. So that shit is crazy. So it's actually calming people down and getting people, because it's making you have to be with yourself. You have to sit home and you have to think. You have to, it's actually bringing you back to inside, to a certain level. Whether you bring your thoughts and pull your thoughts back to immediate things like family and how you living and shit like that, or you go deeper into yourself and and figure out some things that's going wrong with you or going right or whatever you want to do better or change. This shit is really it's a new energy. When they start it back up again, it ain't gonna be like it was. Because they're gonna have a lot more control over it. Not to mention, they're gonna flip this 5G switch on, and who knows what that's gonna do to people's, to their electromagnetic fields and their emotions and all kind of shit. So it's a good thing right now because the world needed to calm the fuck down. They needed to slow their roll, and so you can see it. It gave the world a break. It gave the earth a break. Honestly, like us being in the house right now is actually giving the earth a break. It may be frustrating for us, but shit. What you about to say?
I was going to ask you about that because I was looking at some stuff and people said that they believe that all that stuff, but they said is also they trying to all the emissions and stuff. They're trying to stop that curve because of all the stuff that been in the air because we're no longer driving. Everybody ain't driving far and outside polluting.
I don't doubt that. That's also what happened. And everybody not driving around the world for a few months, that's definitely gonna have a hit on the carbon emissions. Like I'm saying, man, this fucked up for humans. Humans is, oh shit, this is fucked up our rights and this and that. But you wasn't gonna change. You wasn't gonna change. You wasn't gonna do it yourself. So the universe had to find a way to do this shit. Said, all right, fuck it. Let a virus out there, nigga. And sit these niggas in their damn caves while I replenish my resources for a minute. So here's the martial law that y'all might be getting put into very shortly.
less than ethical bioresearch company accidentally released the T virus. It all started with a cough, some difficulty breathing, and pretty soon, tyrants, zombie dogs, and those gross guys with the long tongues started running rampant. Now there's only one way to enforce the quarantine that will save America. Forget social distancing, it's time for martial law. Martial law has been declared numerous times throughout U.S. history, from the Revolutionary War to the 1960s Civil Rights Movement. But what is martial law exactly? And what would it look like in modern life? Martial law is typically declared in times of national emergency, though what exactly constitutes an emergency varies from nation to nation. Once martial law is declared, most civil rights are temporarily suspended, and the U.S. military assumes control of all law enforcement duties, although existing law enforcement is still active and aids in establishing martial law. Because martial law pretty much suspends democracy as we know it, in the United States it has been sparingly used, and even when it has, it's been a very limited scope. If there's one thing country music has taught us, it's that Americans love their freedom, and they don't take kindly to the government infringing on it. Thus, martial law is only declared in the U.S. for the most extreme circumstances, for times when the military is needed to help maintain law and order. Recent incidents of martial law include its enactment after the attack on Pearl Harbor, but even then it was only declared in Hawaii, and only because an imminent invasion was feared. In the U.S., only the president has the power to enact martial law nationally. Each state governor has the right to enact martial law in their own state individually and enforce it with the aid of federal troops as well as the National Guard. Controversially, though, in 2007, President George W. Bush's administration added a provision into a military funding bill that allowed the president to take command of the National Guard units of each state without the governor's consent. Let's say your city ends up on the T-virus menu. One day, you're working your 4 full-time jobs while also attending college and still not making rent, and suddenly people start turning into zombies and lickers all around you. The state governor gets on TV and announces he's enacting martial law to enforce a mandatory quarantine. The first thing you'll notice about your new life is that you've got a curfew again, only this one is much more restrictive and better enforced than the one your parents set up while you were in high school. You're not allowed to be out of your house from 8 p.m. to 9 a.m. every single day. The curfew is meant to control the flow of people, and it makes it easier for law enforcement to spot bad actors. During wartime, if you were violating curfew at 2 in the morning, there's a good chance you were an enemy saboteur. Curfews during a viral pandemic, though, can also help limit the spread of the disease. And if the outbreak is severe enough, you might not be allowed out of your home at all, except on specific days for specific times. A highly restricted curfew could, for instance, only allow you to leave your home for 3 hours every third day. Each part of a city could have a different curfew, and thus the spread of the virus would be highly limited, as only one part of the city would be away from home at any given time. In most nations, martial law automatically suspends all of your civil rights and gives the military complete police and judicial power. In the United States, though, Supreme Court decisions have worked to limit the scope of martial law. And even if martial law is declared, citizens still have a right to a civil trial. The arresting authority of military or law enforcement during martial law, however, is not restricted, meaning that you could be arrested and not immediately charged. And that certainly throws the door open to some very scary scenarios, with police and military arresting individuals as they see fit, and is one of the big reasons why martial law is so rarely declared. If a catastrophe is serious enough or lasts long enough, and martial law is necessary for an extended amount of time, along with a curfew, you may need to carry specially assigned movement and travel documents. These will be given to you by the authorities after carefully interrogating your personal life and your needs, as in what you do for a living and what type of non-home medical or specialized care you need. Then the authorities would hand you your documents, which authorize you to either be in violation of curfew or travel outside of established control zones so that you can do things like go to work or get a physical therapist appointment. The
reason I say that we're under martial law light is because you kind of got to have that in Los Angeles now. So like if you work at a grocery store or someplace like that, they gave you a pass, like this little piece of paper. And the people who work at the grocery stores are calling them freedom papers. Because you show that to the police officer and they let you go. So it's already happening.
Documents will typically be very specific about where you're allowed to go and when, helping the authorities to determine if you're in violation of curfew or travel restrictions. During World War II, many Nazi-occupied countries found themselves dealing with German-backed curfews and travel restrictions, necessitating special transit or travel documents. If martial law is declared nationally, you'll need those documents to leave your home city and travel anywhere else. and any foreign travel will have to be approved in advance. To enforce travel and movement restrictions, security checkpoints will be placed throughout your city and strategic areas. If the emergency is bad enough that segregation of the population and tight movement control is necessary, you could even see entire streets closed off and neighborhoods get barricaded. This will be done in order to ensure that there are only a select amount of avenues of travel through a city, which can be all overwatched by a series of security checkpoints. In the United States, elections are protected by the Constitution, and thus martial law cannot stop or impede an election from happening. During the Civil War, despite martial law having been established, there were still 2 major elections. Having strict travel restrictions, though, could certainly impede the democratic process.
What are they going to do with this election? Y'all hear?
Make it electronic. You do it from home.
Mm-hmm. Another way for them niggas to steal the election. You ain't gonna know what you did. You ain't gonna know what's what. You sending your vote in electronically from the house, from the computer. Man. All of this is going down. This is the changing year for America. I knew it was gonna happen at some point in time when this nigga was the president. I didn't think it was gonna happen this soon. I thought it would happen his next presidency. But god damn, they brought it in his last year.
Want to learn about some of the craziest laws?
That's it. So, martial law, national emergency and martial law, just so y'all know, it's the same thing. Pretty much, it's just that martial law is when the military has to fully take control because of riots and insurrection or rebellion against the government. National emergency is when there's still order maintained, but there's still in there's some type of critical situation in the country. So the president deems martial law, national emergency, where it's under national emergency, he has damn near every power in the book except for 13. So he has like 132 different war powers he has under a national emergency, and 13 that he has to go to Congress for. One of those is suspending habeas corpus. So we went over this last week, I think, but who knows what habeas corpus is if you were here last week, or if you don't, if you still know what habeas corpus is. One of the most important things y'all should know, honestly, in living in America.
So that have to do with the right to a trial by jury?
Nope, almost though. You close. You warm. You're in the pool.
The right to appear before a judge.
Yep. Right to appear before a judge. They snatch you up, and you don't got nobody to talk to. You'll never come out. You'll never get out. You're just a slave, basically. You're a slave prisoner, or a prisoner slave. So you got to be able to speak the law to somebody who can get you out of the situation or interpret the laws the correct way and get you out of jail. So that's a staple in the law that the courts should always be working, and if the courts are always maintained, then there's always order. That's usually when martial law comes in. If the courts are shut down, or if there's, like I said, if there's an insurrection, or they take down the courts and the government and that type of stuff, and the military comes in for a small period of time to reestablish. But right now, because that's not happening, you're just under national emergency, and you have been under 32 of them since the 70s. So that's when the first national emergency, the national emergency bill was 76, 200 years after they like around their 200-year anniversary, and so it's been 32 of them called since 76, active, ongoing. You're in 32 different national emergencies, which means that these niggas can pull the plug. They can push the button on military rule anytime. They just need the correct spark for it. But they can do that at any time with 32 different national emergencies. So these are the conditions y'all living in. Y'all just don't know because they allow niggas to live freely and happy because it's easier to rule over niggas who are happier than it ain't. But when they got some plans and some agendas, don't believe they gonna pull that card like they doing right now. Niggas thought, oh shit, I'm free. No, nigga, every business, every mother, you can't do shit. You can't have no sex. You can't go get out the house. Niggas is going crazy right now. So is women. Go to Instagram, women making 18,000 videos a day showing their asses because they can't get out the house.
Those twerk videos G like to watch.
Oh yeah, they they doing all kind of shit. It's crazy right now. I mean, dude,
strippers out here struggling.
Dude, everybody's struggling, and they definitely struggle. But the girls who actually make the Instagram videos, they actually winning though, because they making a gang of content. They getting paid for it. But they're restless though because they can't get outside and and show their bodies and show that that's how good looking women, they like to get out and be seen. So they ain't being able to get out and get seen. I guess it's hard for them. They don't know what to do. But so just make sure y'all keep running your laws, man. All right, jurisdiction dude, jurisdiction Christian man. We're gonna see what he thought. I'm telling you, bear through the Christian shit because I had to. Now, if some Christians on here, y'all may be good. But for those people who ain't Christians, bear with it. So for y'all who want to peep dude's video,
and we just appreciate all.
He gets into foreclosures and how to do this type of stuff. Now, again, this dude is one of these religious sovereigns. Now, having said that, his law is pretty on point. So you can go and research his foreclosure shit and how he talks about how you can get out of certain contracts with your houses and stuff like that by basically stating what is your claim, like what are you so he'll get into it, but basically when you buy a house and you sign the contract to buy a house or a mortgage or anything like that, you're the only one signing the contract. Most people don't realize that. So it's a single excuse me, it's a unilateral contract on you because you're the only one signing. There's no a corporation can't sign a contract. And so that's basically how he does this. When he goes to court, he says, well, can the person where's the injured party? Can the injured party please take the stand? Because under common law, you have to have an injured party in order for there to be a crime. So he says, well, is there an injured party? Can that party, because you have the right to confront your accuser, especially in court on the stand. So he says, yo, not a representative, the actual accuser, which is the corporation, which it can't be because he's an artificial person. This is how they get shit thrown out of court, especially with mortgages and shit like that. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying this is what he teaches. This is how he teaches it, and I know it's work. Now you can go fuck with it at your own risk if you want to. You should be sovereign before you do shit like this, though. You should never do anything like this until your paperwork, till you're out of the system. All your contracts and shit are severed. But let's hear him talk about jurisdiction.
Done for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We've been helping a lot of folks and a lot of excitement going on around the country about what we're doing here. And just be assured that none of this is new, except that it's just the way that we present it and make it simpler for about these issues. We are merely having a private community discussion, charge or whatever. And properly validating that, you'll find out that about 90% of what's coming against you is in fraud. That's really what we get to here. So that's kind of the end of the disclaimer, and I'm explaining what I mean by that. So you have a right whenever somebody makes
he says
whatever, and properly validating that, you'll obligation to keep it. But all we're really talking about here is we're trying to teach you how to verify and validate any debt that's claimed against you or any claim against you, be it charge or whatever. And properly validating that, you'll find out that about 90% of what's coming against you is in fraud. That's really what we get to here. So that's
he's saying validate a claim against you, no matter what it is. If it's a charge, if the government or the state police or whatever, that's also a claim. If they're charging you with something, that's also technically a claim. So he says, make them prove that there's an injured party to the claim. Like, where's your claim and who's the injured party to the claim? That's what so I'm just deciphering stuff as he moves through it.
The end of the disclaimer, and I'm explaining what I mean by that. So you have a right whenever somebody makes a claim against you, a bill, a charge, or whatever, to simply say, okay, prove it. And I'm going to teach you how to do that, because you'd be surprised how often they can't. And if there's no proof, there's no contract, in spite of what you might have believed. Be careful what you believe, because usually it's true. Now, listeners agree that the hosts and speakers and guests are not liable or under be held harmless for outcomes resulting from individuals' actions taken as a result of information heard on this call, recording, or from the above-mentioned websites, resources, or individual follow-up discussions. By continuing on this call, you agree to these terms. Email questions during the call to support@UR Group. Join it, post your question. Our Yahoo forum is an excellent tool for doing that. Later in the call, we'll take some questions. Portion, again, you'll chat your question into the chat. It instantly replays shortly after we're done, and also station even after the call. I assure you, that's all we're ever really going to talk about here, because it's all you need to take care of debt, agency issues, your options down. It's kind of a newer project, urlaw.org, because we really felt like we needed to narrow your options down to just a few processes, and it will literally be 3, maybe 4 processes. That's all we're ever really going to talk about here, because it's all you need to take care of debt, agency issues, past issues, judgments, all those kinds of things. It comes down to the simplest of things. And the one word you need to really get into your skull is jurisdiction. If there is a lack of jurisdiction, a judgment is void. I have an article on the website right there all about that. It describes it in detail. It shows all the court cases backing that up. Any judgment can be void, not voidable, it is void if jurisdiction was not properly established. And here's another word you're going to kind of have to learn is presumption. All the time, whenever these agencies or another party or an attorney or a suit is coming against you for a credit card or a mortgage or whatever, they start off with the presumption that you are something that you might not be. But if you don't deny that, they get jurisdiction and they win.
So presumption in law, we went over that. There's a lot of new people in here, but have y'all been to classes before? Did we go over presumption?
I've watched the videos.
Oh, so you've seen. All right, so just real quick recap of a presumption. The law, the law will let anything stand, let a claim stand. It'll presume it as correct until you rebut the presumption. Because law assumes that everybody's telling the truth. So when you make a claim at law, it's a presumption of law. And then when another party comes in to counter claim or counteract that claim, it's called a rebuttal or rebuttal of presumption. So anything that you claim at law will stand unless someone else comes and refutes it. So that's what he's talking about. And that's kind of what they do with you. They presume certain laws are over you. And until you simply say, no, I'm not that person, or no, that law has no claim over me, or blah, 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 until you assert it yourself, they presume that it's right. They presume that they got the right to do or tell you what the hell they do, what they want to do. That's why that dude on that video was like, they tell you that you don't have jurisdiction over you. That's not true. Yes, it is. You don't. You have to have certain things that create jurisdiction. This ain't jurisdiction because I manifested in a place that you think is your land or the land of America. There's certain things that create America. There's certain paperwork. America is not some fucking, it's not some magical place that runs every goddamn thing. It has laws. You don't have jurisdiction over everyone. And the fact that they would talk like that shows the arrogance. And so that's why Homeboy said, don't believe them, but then be careful because you can put the agency in liability. Because a lot of these niggas do know the law. And then if you violate, even if 99% of what this person is saying is wrong, if you violate one of their rights, you fucked up. And you 1%, if you violated their rights and they know how to come and get you, you done messed up.
You figure out how to go back and say, wait a minute, they never did properly establish that. You can void a judgment. So we're not talking about stuff here just to stop a foreclosure, which we will. By the way, I'm going to do a section on foreclosures tonight.
All right, let me go back.
All the time, whenever these agencies or another party or an attorney or a suit is coming against you for a credit card or a mortgage or whatever, they start off with the presumption that you are something that you might not be. But if you don't deny that, they get jurisdiction and they win. If you figure out how to go back and say, wait a minute, they never did properly establish that, you can void a judgment. So we're not talking about stuff here just to stop a foreclosure, which we will. By the way, I'm going to do a section on foreclosures tonight. But how to stop any case. And then not only stop it, though, because stopping it's not enough. You've got to win, which means win damages if they made a false claim against you. You have a right to protect yourself against false claims. It's constitutional. So, in fact, I'm going to read you something out of the Constitution about that tonight. So pay close attention. Support with that from us. You have to understand there's a very limited number of us, and that's right now it's TJ, to work with. So if you're firing a lot of long, detailed questions to me, I don't always get to them, and I certainly don't get to review everybody's documents and cases. And frankly, your case information is really not that relevant to me. What I only care about is, was jurisdiction established or not? Because if you're fighting your case based upon the fact, it's why you lose. You can't argue the fact. You can only argue jurisdiction, and you can win on jurisdiction. One very famous attorney, I heard him say, it was in the movie America, What Would the World Be Without It? If any of you ever saw that documentary, it'll soon be on DVD, and the book is out in the stores now. One of the quotes in there from this one attorney, and I'm paraphrasing, he essentially said, if America knew that 90% of the people in jail are there totally voluntarily, they would freak out. There'd be a revolution tomorrow. And simple fact is, I'm going to explain to you tonight exactly why that is. And it's so simple. It's such a simple mistake that everybody makes. To see, we've devised this system of statutes and codes and this complex stuff where we have to have an attorney for everything. The reality is, in common law, it's extremely simple. You have a claim against me, you can't prove your claim, you lose. That's all we're going to talk about. That's all there is to it. Or you claim you have jurisdiction over me. Well, let me show you how you don't, and then you lose. And I mean, I've had one fellow who told me today, he's working, and we've learned a lot from each other. He's a good friend of mine. I think he said now he's currently up to 12 cases in the last few weeks. 12 out of 12 cases won just coming in in the first 5 minutes. There was no issue with the facts, the evidence, none of that. It was about proving jurisdiction, and therefore you can't move forward with the claim. Now, this is somebody that got away with anything.
So, are y'all getting that? What he's saying?
He's saying that the cases aren't holding up because they can't prove jurisdiction.
Right. He's not, or the people he's talking about are actually just, well, he is sovereign, but they don't, the way they get out of it is not necessarily a sovereign way. But so just so we're clear right from the bat, when you go to court, there's 3 forms of jurisdiction: jurisdiction over the person, jurisdiction over the subject matter, and jurisdiction over the place within you, wherever a crime or something was committed. So A court has to have all three of those. All three have to be in place in order for the court to be able to proceed and move. If the court doesn't have jurisdiction over one of those things, it can't move until it establishes it. And it has to establish it on the record. That's a very important thing. It just can't be like, yo, well, you know, we got jurisdiction over you because of this. No, you got to show some facts. You got to bring some contracts. You got to show how do I, or how do you have jurisdiction over me to be able to to have the authority to tell me to do anything. And that includes coming to court. That includes walking into court. So I'll give you an example about jurisdiction. So the only thing you want to do when you're doing jurisdiction, or you want to challenge it, challenge jurisdiction is called a special appearance. So remember, there's appearance. It means to submit yourself to the court, the jurisdiction of the court. But then there's a thing called a special appearance, which means I'm only coming to court. I'm only in court to challenge your jurisdiction. And until you prove that, this court can't move. It literally has to be like, oh, damn, shit. It cannot move. And that's why you don't go to court. Because if you challenge jurisdiction, so I'll give you like, so say if the court doesn't have jurisdiction over you, and it says, you got to be at this court date at such and such time, and bloop, 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 or we're issuing a failure to appear warrant, a bench warrant for you immediately. Do you show up? Do you go? Because they told you that?
Nope.
Why not?
You falling right into their jurisdiction right there.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily true. You can still you can always maintain their lack of jurisdiction if you know the law. But I'm saying, why don't you do that?
Say if you don't submit your paperwork through the proper channels first.
Well, what I'm saying is they sent you a notice to say you better show your ass up at this courthouse at this time, blah blah blah, or we issuing a bench warrant for you. You get bench warrant for your arrest. Usually them motherfuckers are like 25 grand, depending on where it is. You gotta look at your bail. You gotta look at the bail schedule in your county. Bail schedule is for y'all who don't know. A bail schedule is established bail for certain infractions or violations of the law. It doesn't need the judge to tell you. So that's how when you commit a crime or an infraction, and there's no judge to arraign you, you know, it's a set bail schedule. So say you want to challenge it or something like that. You can wait for arraignment to see a magistrate or a judge. But if you don't, and you just want to go home, you want to get out of jail, they'll refer to the bail schedule. So whatever the bail is, you know, so if it's 10 grand, 5 grand for some infractions, it's all over the place. Some infractions are only $50, whereas, you know, some of them are $25,000. So you got to come up with 10%. And so that's where the bail due come in. But, you know, so what'll happen is they'll just set the bail and say, this is what you have to pay. This is what you got to pay. And then you can be released on your own recognizances to return. Or if you sign a notice to appear, you know, we'll release you and you come back. So bail schedule. So that's just the bail schedule. But you know, so when you're, you know, a special appearance though, why don't you go to court when they send you that? or for an appearance? Why don't you walk into court? When they send you that notice that they're gonna throw your ass in jail, is what I mean. Not generally. When they send you a notice and tell you better bring your ass to this court, or we're gonna throw your ass in jail. The very second, because the bench warrant, as soon as they mark you not your presence, a violation of appearance, it goes into the computer like immediately. It's crazy. Like it literally goes right into the computer immediately when you fail to appear. That's what I meant to say. When they mark your failure to appear, it goes into the computer immediately, automatically. When they just mark it failed, boom, right in the computer, and the bench and the warrant is issued immediately through the computer. So why don't you go to court when they tell you that they're gonna throw your ass in jail when they send you that?
Because you're under their jurisdiction. If you do.
But he just said that's the same thing Jason just said.
I'm a bail bondsman in Middle Georgia, and so when someone doesn't appear in court, what they can do is they'll contact me, and then I'll call the courts, and then I can reschedule. They have an opportunity to show up again, to get another court date scheduled.
In your state?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's it ain't like that out here.
It will. Well, I'll say this: a warrant will be issued, but if they call me and let me know, the bail bondsman know, and then the bail bondsman can contact the courts, and the new court date can be scheduled.
Well, yeah, but the warrant, the bail, and the warrant, and the ticket are all monetary. So the warrant just means warranty. They're just trying to make sure. They're just trying to make sure. But they're just trying to make sure that they get their money. So warranty, guarantee, all these different things. So if they call the bail dude, they got their money. So if the bail dude calling, that means the money is gotten on the bail. They good. So that's why that's like that. But I'm saying, if they do without the bail person, they send you a warrant. They send you a letter saying that you need to appear at this court at this date and time, or we're issuing a warrant for you. Why don't you go?
Won't you be considered guilty if you did?
Not necessarily.
Well, you don't go because it's just more of
it's
like
for your straw man.
It's more of a warning. It's not a direct order, I guess you could say.
No, it's an order. Ain't no warning. You don't bring your ass to this motherfucking courthouse, we're gonna put you under the courthouse, man. We're gonna put you under the jail. So why don't you go?
Is that to your straw man?
No, it's to you. It's to your straw man too. But if you're in the system, you're the subrogation, or you're the surety for your straw man.
Does this have to relate to the special appearance, or you haven't done that yet?
What are we talking? What subject are we talking about right now, y'all?
Jurisdiction.
Okay. All right. So if they send you a goddamn paper to your thing, you're talking about jurisdiction. You're challenging jurisdiction, and they send you the notice to your house that you got to appear in court on such and such date, such and such time. We're going to issue this warrant and send your ass to jail. Why don't you go to court when they tell you that you got to be here?
Because you gave them jurisdiction over the place.
No, you're close. You're skipping some stuff.
They don't have jurisdiction over you to tell you to appear.
There you go. They don't got jurisdiction in the first place. If you're challenging jurisdiction, how the fuck do they got the fucking authority to tell you to bring your ass to court? They have none. And if you go, that's an admission of authority.
That's just one. I thought they got to have all three.
What?
Jurisdiction over the person, over the situ.
They do. That's why I can't move.
They do. They will have jurisdiction over all three. Usually they have
Because I decided to go there because they said that. Okay.
Subject matter and the venue right off the bat. Wherever you violated your shit, it's gonna be in that. It's gonna be in the jurisdiction of that court. So that they got that right off the bat. And then the subject is the law. It's the California law, and they have competent jurisdiction over California state law or whatever state you're in. The courts have competent jurisdiction over those state laws. So that's two of them right there. They got off the bat. The only one that they don't have right off the bat, and sometimes they don't have. The only reason only when they don't have venue jurisdiction is when it's like state to state or citizen to citizen from other states. Those when those things can be challenged. And subject matter can be challenged when subject matter jurisdiction is also the same thing. When like federal, when something is federal or something is state and shit like that. So you can't federal can't do state and state can't do federal. But so personal jurisdiction is called personam jurisdiction. So jurisdiction over the person, jurisdiction over the matter, jurisdiction over the place. So if they don't have jurisdiction over you, the person, right off the bat, and your whole point is to challenge jurisdiction. If they send you an order to show up and you go, that's an admission of jurisdiction. You tell them, kick rocks. I ain't coming nowhere. You have no authority over me, fool. You don't ever walk in the court. So I'll give you like here's just the first page of my brief. People, the plaintiff versus Kevin Berenger, impropria persona, sui juris. Anybody knows what that means? Impropria persona, sui juris. I'm just trying. I'm not expect y'all to know. I'm just trying to see.
And this proper person of his own right.
Yep. And this proper person of his own right. So that's the very first thing that needs to be on your paperwork going to court. I'm in my correct status, and I'm of my own right. Right off the bat, and under no one else's authority but my own. So then it's coming out. Excuse me. Then I have a list of everything that I have in the document, and then it says, comes now Kevin Berenger in special appearance to object to this court's jurisdiction on the following grounds: lack of jurisdiction over the person, failure of plaintiff to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, and service of process is defective and incomplete. So I just challenge jurisdiction on 3 fronts. They have to go through all 3 of those before they can establish anything. You don't hit them with one, huh? Somebody about to say something?
But that's after you've corrected your status. What if you're still in the system?
So he's gonna get into that in a second. But this is why you have to know the laws and being able to freak and interpret the law in a way that's beneficial to you. So when you become a sovereign, you don't become a person. You become a natural person or a flesh and blood man. That's the status you take on. Okay, persons are one thing. A natural person is another thing. And also flesh and blood man is another thing. The flesh and blood man and natural person are kind of down the same line. The natural person is in the law as something. Flesh and blood man, not so much. So if you wanted to try to use the status, you would say natural blood, natural person. So I'm always about to get into that because laws are made for persons, not natural blood men or flesh and blood men. So if you claim that you're a flesh and blood man and the law is made for a person, does that cover you? Do they have jurisdiction over you, the man, the flesh and blood man, or do they have jurisdiction over a person?
Person.
There you go. That's what this is what he's about to break out what he used.
Because you understand, most of this stuff that people are being chased around with is fraud. It's not even real. Okay? If I harm a man, I pay. That's common law. Everything else is just a bunch of ways to keep people employed in the judicial system. Now, I'm also going to do a Thursday noon call, Thursday noon Pacific time. We make you an advance member, or if you're already to have us help them work up some documents or that call. Tomorrow, we're actually going to open like that. So we're going to answer your questions in more detail. It's always good to get ourselves grounded, what we talk about here. And then we'll go forward from there into some specific matters and even talk about some an A contract out of the system and filing a claim against the straw man and the UCC and all this stuff. And believe me, guys, I've been down that road. And that's what people do all the time. It's like me coming up to you and saying, I'm going to take claim your
gets wordy as
prove
fuck.
it.
Goddamn.
If he says you owe him something, even if you think you owe it, you should say, we'll prove that.
Oh, here you go.
And prove it. Always. People do all the time. It's like me coming up to you and saying, I'm going to take claim your car because I'm a man. No, that's not what we do here. That's fraud. You can't do that. But what you can do is ask the party who says you owe them money, always learn these two words. Prove it. And don't just try to be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. Yeah, you want to be a good person and be nice to people, but you got to be intelligent, for crying out loud. Somebody says you owe them something, even if you think you owe it, you should say, we'll prove that. And then there's a proper way to do that. And they'll send you some bogus document, or they'll call with some attorney and they'll ask you a question. As soon as you say, yeah, that's me, you've already confessed. So let's just you got to get this in your head. You don't want to be confessing to things until you're sure they're true. Never confess, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So words matter. Now let's understand something. And if you go into the statutory codes and you start looking up definitions, you look at these, and there's millions of pages of stuff, all these titles and, statutes, codes, regulations, whatever. If it comes on your property and says you got to move that thing off your lawn, you should be saying, oh yeah, well, prove it. Well, there's a statute and code, and they'll hand you that statute and code, and you'll say, well, yeah, I guess you're right. I'm your slave. I have to do what you tell me. Or you say, wait a minute, I'm a man. Let me ask you a question. Where's the damaged party? That's it, guys. That question is the best question you could ever ask anybody. Any official comes on your property and says, you owe this, you did that. Oh, really? Well, I'm a man. Are you talking to me? Because, by the way, they're talking to a person, an individual. Those are words, and it's not the same thing as a man, by the way. And if you would answer, though, when they address you that way, you just confess that you are, and they have jurisdiction over persons and individuals. They don't have jurisdiction over a man.
So I'll give you an example. California law, driver's license. A driver is a person who is in control or operation of a vehicle, a motor vehicle, right? So this establishes the rule that you have to have a driver's license. This is what they'll say. Right? So driver is a person. But we know that driver means it means someone's who's getting paid. So if you don't know this, the legal definition of driver is someone who's getting paid to take someone back and forth along the highway. That's the legal definition. The passenger is somebody who pays someone to take them along the highway. So the only true drivers and passengers are Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and passengers. Those are truly legal, and then bus drivers or something like that. But unless you're making a profit on the road, truckers, stuff like that. But unless you're making a profit on the road, you're not a driver. About to say something?
Well, you already kind of said it. I was about to say the truck driver thing, but you just kind of stumbled on it right then.
Yeah. People like that who are getting paid to be on the road. So that established. So in California, also, you don't have to have, and necessarily, you don't have to technically have a California ID. You can have something that's mimicked or that has the same characteristics or stipulations as the California ID, but it can be your own. It just has to have certain minimal information, like your name, your description, and where you live. And so you can have your own ID in California. I think I showed this last week. Now, with that law, though, when they pull you over, and it says also that the officer is allowed to arrest anyone for failure to present a driver's license. Right? So, but what's established? The drivers are persons. So persons are the only ones required to have a driver's license. If I establish the fact in law that I'm a flesh and blood man, or I'm not a person, or I'm a natural person, this changes the game. So I'm just giving you, this is what that's not necessarily what I do. I just severed my contracts, and right off the bat, anything that goes down, no matter what it is, unless I've hurt somebody or broken, or damaged their property, there's not an injured party. So I'm challenging jurisdiction every time. So if you're in the system, though, you may have to be a little more creative with your jurisdictional challenge.
Hey, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say a person like you wouldn't do this, but let's say you had, I don't know, you had a credit card and all that. Can you, because, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, and they, basically was like, oh, the credit card basically, I don't know, just it's no longer usable, and they just charge it on there, and basically they trying to say you owed them something, like a debt collector or something. Let's say you got in a position when you actually had a credit card charge off and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be in the same predicament as everybody else, or would you be like, no, I'm not, because you already sever your stuff, you're not in the same jurisdiction as far as me and everybody else in here.
Yeah, that works for lawsuits too. If they tried to sue you, the court has to have jurisdiction over you to be able to even call you in court.
So like I said, for you, so if you had a credit card or something like that, and they were like, debt or something like that, they couldn't do it on you, correct?
But I wouldn't. Yeah, that would be karma though.
No, I know. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that also relates to that too.
Technically, yes. I could get a credit card. I could charge the hell out of that bitch.
I know you ain't gonna do that. I got you, bro.
charge all the fucking credit cards in the world up, yeah, and leave the debt. And if the niggas came back for me legally through the courts to pay that debt, I could just submit a special appearance that these niggas don't have jurisdiction over the court, and they'd have to prove that first. But also, I wouldn't even. You could go to that, or then even if that didn't happen, I would just challenge the fact that these niggas even gave me any money. They didn't give me any money. You pass around debt. So you tell me, nigga, what law requires me to pay you in debt? Because that's the only thing that's legal now. That's only being passed around legally is debt. So there's no law that requires me to pay you in debt.
Okay, so that's what if you was in a situation like that, that's what you would say. Mm-hmm. Even if you were, quote unquote, still a citizen.
Yeah, I would go for the debt instrument.
No law for money.
No law for money. But you asking for debt. so what are you talking about right here? Maybe show me that law. So people went on that all the time. Man, law is easy when you know it. You can interpret it and find a way to bend it and tweak it your way. You just need to be correct of the shit that you're saying. It needs to be written down and then get the court to see it your way. Usually they will. They be like, oh shit, I didn't see it like that. Yeah, good call.
What about the have you heard about people talking about the peso thing? Like, how everything is written in pesos as far as like bills and stuff?
Pesos?
Well, if you look at like most bills, that they don't even have no cent or like no sign for money.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do, it only had the peso one. The peso one is the one where it's just it look like the S in the one line, ours is 2.
I know what you. Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I looked in that and I was like, really, I didn't know. I was just asking you, have you heard of that? Because they were talking about when you get certain things and they say you paying for something. It's like, I don't know what form you want me to pay it in because I'm confused about this form. There's no, I don't.
Right. I've never seen that, but that sounds like something that would work though.
Right. Okay.
That sounds like something that you could an argument that you.
Yeah, because you want me to pay you in pesos or I don't know what form of money this. There's nothing on this paper that shows that, and that's why I heard I was looking on stuff and people were talking about it's pesos, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, right.
So you said the one with the one line through the S.
Yeah, if you look, the one with the one line that represents pesos. Ours is 2 lines. That's the U.S. currency one.
Okay, I'm gonna check that one out. I know I always do when I write it. I always use the 2 lines. That's always what I used to see as a kid in school. I always use the 2 lines. So
that's what people said. They used to do that. Everything you probably seen before was 2 lines, but then over time it's 1 line because it's considered that's pesos. So people that it's a way, I guess, to control you and them not to be ill. I don't know, but that's what I seen, and I looked it up and I saw that those are the 2 symbols. And I was like, oh, I never knew that.
Now I gotta check that one out. Actually, I didn't see that. So we're gonna watch a little bit more of this, and then I'm gonna show you guys the website where you guys can check your bond number and see how much your birth certificate number, and see how much your birth certificate is worth on the open market, on the stock market, or your social security card. You can put both of them numbers in there. I'll show you all that in a minute. But that'll be the last thing. But let's peep homeboy for a little bit more real quick.
Try to find the word man or woman in any of the statutes or codes. You'll find the word person. You'll find the word individual. Guess what? Unless you admit that's what you are, it ain't you. So that's a jurisdictional issue, isn't it? Because one of the key issues of jurisdiction is, do they have jurisdiction over the person? Well, if I'm not a person, can they get jurisdiction? Not if I handle myself correctly, they won't. Now, if this is starting to sound complicated to you, you've made it complicated. If they can't get jurisdiction over the person, and you're a man and you're not a person, can they get jurisdiction over you?
It's literally called personam jurisdiction. That's the legal name for it. Personam jurisdiction. Jurisdiction over the person. So he's right in a roundabout way. If you don't claim person, that you're a person, how can they get jurisdiction over you? They can't even argue that. They can't even argue because once you submit the argument, they have to rebut it. Once you say, oh, I'm not a person, they have to actually answer and say, well, you are a person. And then they have to explain how you are. But they can't do that. How are they gonna explain that you're a person? These are legal issues of status and subjective. Nigga, how are you gonna call me a person? That's not what I am. I'm a flesh and blood man. That's what the science book said I am. Does the science book say I'm a person or a flesh and blood man? See, you can really fuck with the law with all this type of stuff. The law can be fucked with a lot, just so y'all know. You just have to know it to be able to fuck with it. Just like you have to be able to know a word to change the vibration.
No more than somebody can come across the border of California into Oregon and arrest me for a traffic ticket that I wasn't there for. They can't cross that border. I'm not in their jurisdiction. There's geographical jurisdictional issues. Those of you who do your research, you'll find out that most of what the Congress and the Supreme Court and all that applies to is the United States. But what you don't look up is the definition of the United States in those codes. That definition is the 10 square mile of the District of Columbia and those other territories that aren't even in the 50 Union states. But you never looked that one up. You just assume, hey, United States, they're talking about the states, right? Be careful what you believe. And then they'll say, and then the states applies to the states. But you have to look up the definition of the word states. When they, in their codes, when they use the word states, they're talking about the District of Columbia and the territories. It says the definition of states is those. It doesn't say the 50 Union states. Yet you keep buying into this stuff. The public school system taught you, just don't ask questions, stand up and say your name every morning, right? That's training, that's indoctrination, and you don't ask. Yes, there's a difference between the United States and the actual 50 union states. Big difference. That's a jurisdictional issue. What are they doing outside of District of Columbia, you might ask? If you can go back on anything that's happened, you just start asking those questions, believe me, you shut them up really quick. So there's the person jurisdiction, there's the geographical, that can be an issue, territorial, but also subject matter. Subject matter means that the court itself has jurisdiction over that matter. Well, can I go to California court and argue an Oregon case? No, they're not jurisdiction. That's an example of jurisdiction. But also the other way they can establish jurisdiction is they can get you to identify yourself as the person, or what I call the surety, the guarantor of the account. And once you identify yourself as such, the case is over. Everything you say after that is irrelevant. You're the surety. Whatever goes on in that courtroom, you're paying for it.
That's why you don't go to court. So what he means is you can excuse me, you can challenge the court's jurisdiction all day, but you can always be placed back in jurisdiction all day, every second. That's why it's a ninja battle. If you walk your ass in the court with that judge, everything he do is going to be trying to get you back in jurisdiction, including being nice to you, looking like he's trying to help you, all of it, asking you questions, all of it is to get you in jurisdiction. Like, and I'll give you an example, because I want to move to the other thing real quick. So, because this is what he's about to state, and actually then he goes to something else after he breaks this down. But he gives an example of a lady who went to court about a credit card. So this is the very thing that you were talking about. So she goes to court on credit card debt, and she challenged the jurisdiction of the court. And so the court was held up with that. They had to go to the judicial question. Like, what do we do? What do we do here? They had them all hemmed up. So as they're doing this, as they're getting ready to, they're talking on the side, or they're wondering how they're getting ready to proceed or whatever. The judge starts talking nice to the lady, and he's like, he's like, yeah, I understand. He's like, I know you changed that. He's very cordial. I understand, I know you challenged the jurisdiction. He said, I just want to know, just, did you, he said something like, did you pay the debt, or how much did you, or how much did you owe on it? How much did you owe before the thing ended, or something like that? And then she said something like that. And he banged the gavel. He said, judgment for the plaintiff. Because he got her admitting to the subject. See, if you're challenging jurisdiction, you can't talk about the subject. That, because it ain't even supposed to go past that. If you're challenging personam jurisdiction, the jurisdiction over the person, over you ain't supposed to talk about nothing else. That has to be established before you can even talk about anything that's in the case. Because if you start talking about anything that's in the case, meaning trying to prove your side, it's assumed or presumed by the court that it has jurisdiction, because you're asking it to hear your side. So bam, right off the bat, she admitted though to the debt, which meant we do have jurisdiction. You admitted that you're that person that they're looking for. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just waiting. No, all I was gonna say is I was relaying back to the previous thing. If you just type in peso and Wikipedia or one of those, it will show you the difference, because they were talking about. That's all I was gonna say. So.
What?
If you do like dollar symbol, or like the what's it called, the symbol for it, if you like in Wikipedia, it'll show, because all I did was type in the US dollar and then the peso dollar, and you'll see the difference.
That's a peso symbol right there.
Well, no, not that one. There was a previous one they were showing.
You know this right here, Mexican peso.
No, I know I did the same. There we go.
Huh?
On the side. See?
What? The
When
one
you
I'm
see it,
right,
the
the one I'm
one,
in right now? Yeah. That's this one. Well, that's a P. That's a. This talking about this right here.
yeah, that's what they said. Some you can use. That's theirs. That's one that, and then the other one with the double line is ours too. That's what it. Because if they'll show you how it broke down on was it on Wikipedia? It say it could be used as both, like the dollar sign, the one with the. You see what I mean? Because that's that one. But if you go look at it, if you see that one, that used to be JS. And then for us, the W, the one that got the 2 was US. And then they took off the bottom parts and it just became that. But if you type in US and then or you know what? Do this. All I'm about to say is dollar. I went to Wikipedia and it says dollar sign. And it'll show you it.
I just want to see the newer dollars here. So it is one thing. Huh.
So that's what I was talking about. I was looking at something and he was like, theirs, that's theirs. That's the way the symbol is for the peso. And then ours is the one with the double. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And you look at most
Oh,
stuff.
you mean you talking about this right here?
Yeah.
That.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how much that would hold up in court.
I don't know. I wasn't saying it would, but I'm just saying I didn't know if you heard of that. That's all I brought it up.
Yeah, no, I ain't never heard of it.
The reason why I say that because it said most things is when you get bills and stuff, it's only underneath the peso symbol. It's never underneath the double line.
With the bullshit. All right, so let me go back. So, what was that? The last thing I was gonna show y'all.
You was talking about the lady giving herself jurisdiction because she said that she was part of the debt.
No, there was something else I was gonna show you. We finished that. I finished that. That was just to show you guys do not, first of all, don't ever go to court. But if you go to court, don't ever admit anything. Don't ever answer. Don't really answer the judge's question when he asks you certain questions or tells you to do anything. If the judge tells you to come here and you go to him in the court, that puts you in jurisdiction. Judge asks you your name and you answer. That's jurisdiction.
Yeah, I remember you said that because your boy did that. I guess he left and came back or something, and then he was off the record or something like that.
Well, he challenged. He turned the court into common law court, so they couldn't move because it was an admiralty court. And so he recessed and brought him back in off the record. And then he thought he was on the record and he challenged it again, but they weren't on the record, so it didn't matter. But he didn't know that because he wasn't skilled enough to know when judges do shit like that. They'll recess and bring your ass back in off the record, so none of the shit that you say gets recorded. That's why you don't walk in there battling a goddamn Shaolin monk. When you just entered the temple. You washing dishes.
So no Padawans challenging the Jedi Master.
That's right. You can walk up in Yoda chamber, nigga. And you motherfucking, you just got there. All right, where's the
Kev, you said you was gonna show us the website to go to for birth certificate ship.
Right.
When it's complete fallacy, you're not going to win.
Where'd it go?
You're less than 10% chance of.
Where's the All right, let me go here. Where's I can't find my, hold on. Oh, there it is. All right. So you guys can go check this website out after we get off. Shit is funny. Put in your social security number and your birth certificate if you have it. You'll see this shit, no joke. Right after these messages.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is Drake Chili. Back once again. I'm gonna just make this a fairly brief and real quick video in regards to show just how mindfuck some people are. If you're a United States citizen, you are what they consider a bonded debt slave. That's essentially what you are, nothing more, nothing less. You are to abide by corporate statutes, corporate policy, and any other thing that you could think of that the legislators bill you with. So this is just a quick proof, because I got a lot of people out there that continues to believe that it's not real and that it's some form of bullshit, and that you are not considered.
So look at the website, take that exact website down. So just so you know, this is treasurydirect.gov. This is a government site. This is the treasury of the government. This ain't no fucking.
I'm on it right now.
Oh, yeah. You punched it up already. That's hilarious. So take that down. Take that fucking website down. That is the Treasury's website. That's some fucking outside bonded, whatever. It's the U.S. Treasury. All right, yeah, y'all got it. I'm about to play it again.
You are considered property. Your bond is being traded on the stock exchange for all types of business and commerce. You are essentially a corporate citizen who owes an allegiance to the United States corporation that's chartered out of the city of London by the Temple Bar attorneys. Do some research in regards to the bar and who the bar truly is. It stands for British Accredited Registry. So every time that they come up with a new law, statute, or bill, that's essentially what they're doing. They're billing you. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some proof in regards to just how real this shit is, right? So now, once you get a certified copy of your birth certificate, what you want to do is, and I have mine right here. Just give me a second. I'll show you guys. It's not bullshit. But what you want to do is, you guys see this red number right here? 103-241. That's essentially my bond number.
And really quick, if y'all look at that paper, if y'all got that, look on the side or the edge of that paper, it'll say banknote. It says it in the corner, banknote. your birth certificate is written on the same money as paper. Excuse me, the same paper as money. So it's made out of the same paper. You can look on it and you can see the thread, the red and blue thread in the paper, just like there's red and blue thread in your money. That keeps you from counterfeiting.
So basically what you want to do is you want to get that, and sometimes it might be black or red depending on your state. You want to go ahead and put that in, right? And then you want to put the issue date, which is the month of the year that you were born. I'm sorry, the month you were born and then the year. So you want to put that in the issue date. And see, mine pops up right here. So now back in '89, well, I'm sorry, let me change the denomination. You want to go to 10,000. That's the denomination. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, here it is right here. So the initial listing price on the stock exchange was for $5,025. The interest that is collected in my years since I've been living has been $13,479.06. The year-to-date interest is $715, which was recently stopped out because I put an end to that shit. I notified the Department of Commerce. This is my property. It belongs to me. They are not authorized to take out any more loans against it. It's not theirs. It's my shit. So basically, this is essentially it right here. If you haven't,
this shit wasn't worth nothing. My shit was worth $115,000. Both of them. So, yeah.
You also live longer than him.
As well as
yeah, I know.
The Department of Immigration, because you are considered a citizen, right? A 14th Amendment citizen. So if you still haven't notified them that you no longer want to be a citizen and you no longer consider their property, they're assuming power of attorney over you. This is why when you kill somebody, the United States is always issued as the plaintiff or the victim, as opposed to the actual victim, because they're representing the victim, because the victim had a debt that was supposed to be paid throughout their lifetime. So they were injured in fact because you killed them. So, I mean, this shit is more deep, man. It just depends on how much time and how much energy one wants to invest in finding out what the fuck is really going on.
So if y'all are near a computer, if y'all ain't punched it in, y'all should look it up real quick. Because this shit is no joke.
I'm trying to figure out what calculator to use.
What do you mean? It says 10. Wait a minute. What, on the website?
Yeah, the growth calculator, or what is it? Let's see.
Hold on. You said, so if you go back.
Citizen, right? A 14th Amendment.
Talking about denomination. So you got series,
But at the top, I saw he had clicked on planning and giving.
No,
you
gotta go to tools.
Tools. Okay.
And then on the left-hand side, it says savings bond calculator.
Right. And then make sure you put in, it's the E-bond.
E-bond.
So essentially, is he saying that you could cash out on this?
No, he just stopped them. He stopped them from trading his money.
Got you.
But you do have a treasury account though. You got a treasury account so there was a video that was going around where this dude was putting out this treasury account that you can buy shit with your treasury account. Did y'all ever see that?
No, I ain't never seen that.
Nah. I see somebody do with a birth certificate, but I never seen that.
Now that shit racked up millions of views. So he literally gave out the process on how to buy shit with your treasury account number. First of all, which is fuckery. The treasury, you didn't authorize the treasury to have no bank account in your name. Why does the treasury have a bank account in your name? There it is. So, excuse me.
Hey, I got a question real quick about this. So is yours, because you sever all the contracts, so yours is non-void now?
Say it again?
Since you sever all the contracts, is yours non-void now? It's not being used.
No. It probably still is. It's still in use.
Really?
Yeah, my shit is still in. I didn't know. All I did was sever the contract. All I did was sever the contract with the main corporation. That didn't mean I took the bond out of play. Excuse me.
So the bond's still out there. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. Since you severed, they're like, well, we don't got nobody no more. So there
Well, no, I didn't call them to tell them to take my bond out of circulation. Again, I can still use this. So what the treasury account was, you can, like I said, you can call and get it and get shit basically charged to your treasury account based off your social. It's based off your social security number. So I didn't think the shit was real. So I went to Amazon one day and I ordered $1,100 computer. And that shit went through. Now,
for real?
Yeah, that shit went through. Matter of fact, that's my second payment account on Amazon. It's still there. Like it didn't default or anything. But what they did was at the Treasury they stopped it because I guess millions of people started buying it, started using the accounts. So they put an alert on buys from doing that. So they stopped it, but that shit was going through. People was getting shit all the time. But I think it still worked. I just went too big. But I was like, fuck it. If you're going to go big, go big or go home. I just wanted to see if it worked. I was like, shit, if it does work, I'll get a computer. If it doesn't, shit, I'm in the same place as I was before I did that. So that shit went through. But then a day later, because they had actually, like, they were like, because they had notified me of the shipping date and everything, Amazon. But then, like, I think it was 2 days later, the Treasury cut it off. The Treasury canceled the order.
Hey Kev, I got a question to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my BC, my birth certificate, when I held it up, my water ink mark inside mine in PA was a chain link fence.
A chain link fence.
Yeah, like you know how you hold it up to the light?
Yeah.
Mine it's a chain link fence.
So what you think that means something?
Nah, let's see, they got you.
Nah. Well, it don't mean nothing legally. It just probably means some esoteric shit. These niggas trying to lock your ass up. But,
all right.
You know, some symbolism of, you know, could be money keeps you in prison or whatever that type of shit is, but it ain't nothing. It's probably not anything about what's getting ready to go down. Oh, so the last thing I want to tell y'all before we get off, download this app. It's called Pocket Brain Book. Pocket Brain Book. That book, that let me see if they even got a video on it. They got videos on it. It's just crazy. That's the app that police officers use. It has everything that you want to know damn near about police shit. You know, to a certain extent. It's not like fully low. It's not like the fucking Library of Congress and shit. But it has so much information. So you get it, you put in your state, and they give you all the legal information about police forces, precincts, the laws, the law cases, the most common laws used that police officers use. Because remember, it's a police officer's resource. So most is made for police officers. So a lot of them niggas are on it. Then it has a forum where you can ask police officers questions and shit anonymously. They'll answer this shit. It's just crazy. It's called Pocket Brain Book. Yep, it came up.
Department of Commerce. This is.
Oh wow, they really got one.
What?
No, I mean I wouldn't think they want to put it. You know, I guess, but these are for officers. You know.
Yeah.
They're not assuming the regular public gonna look at it.
Nope, look, there's only 746
Welcome
subscribers.
to Pocket Brain Book, the home of the ultimate app designed specifically for law enforcement. It's made for cops by cops. If you need to, this is the app for you. The app includes over 3,000 common and uncommon codes right at your fingertips. You can search by keywords like assault, noise, left turns, red lights, stopping, parking, alcohol, fishing, and many, many more. It also has city and county municipal codes. The app is updated throughout the year, so you'll always have current and accurate information. Also, they included other much needed information that officers need, like drug codes, phone numbers, Miranda rights, juvenile, alcohol, fish and game, commercial vehicles, and a ton more. It's specifically designed for your state and even directly for certain police departments. There's a favorite section, so when you do find a code you use regularly, you can bookmark it for later use. They'll even add custom information or features to the app that you request. This app is a much needed tool for all law enforcement. You'll have access to all of this information for the ridiculously low price below. Please check out the information below. The Pocket Brain Book, made for cops by cops.
Tell you, these niggas, boy.
Man, that's the weirdest ad to see that, man.
I'm gonna tell you though, did you see that? Get this app. So all y'all get this app.
He was like, for cops, by cops. I was like,
Dude, it is indispensable. See, these niggas, they don't know niggas is watching them. See, you gotta study them like they study you. It's like they made that damn Sovereign video earlier on you. You get they shit and study them. So that app is off the chain. And if you're trying to learn police stop law, that is essential. Like that actually will super speed your information, you know what I'm saying, at least, 4 times over, because it has you can find all of your state laws and codes within the app. You can find the most common things they pull you over for right there in the app. And like Homeboy said, you can favorite it. So whatever, the small law, disorderly conduct, no seat belt, all these different laws, you can, of your state, you can have them already on favorite. So when a cop pull you over and say and talk that bullshit, you can pull that law right up. Like, nigga, nope, this law right here says this.
hey, that's gonna be kind of weird, bro, that you pull that up and they do recognize the app.
Hey, nigga, you Pocket Brain Book, my nigga? We got the same app.
That nigga probably look at you like, yo, what the
Hey, nigga, I got Pocket Brain Book, nigga. I be telling just like that. Hey, Pocket Brain Book, homie. What?
You gonna be like, who put you on that?
Yup. Pocket Brain Book, my nigga.
Hey, they might think you somebody, your family member is a cop then or something like that for you, because I'm assuming maybe cops tell their families about it.
Tell them that. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, sometimes the cop will be easier with you when you tell them you got family members as cops. Most times they know niggas lie about that shit. They don't really give a fuck.
Well, the reason why I say that because you've seen an app from a cop, so that's why I'm thinking he might be like, oh, this person must got somebody in their family who's a cop or something.
It don't matter. You ain't scared of him. Look here, nigga. You using that to tell him, look, nigga, we boxing.
I just can't wait to see somebody's face.
Gloves on, nigga. Where your gloves at? Pocket Brain Book, fool. Now, what law are you trying to lie? What law are you about to lie about? So I can pull this right on up. It's your app. So get that shit. Have it. Do whatever you need to do. Like I said, the homie sent me that the other day. Shout out to the homie Trey. But that shit is indispensable.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me, bro, because everything they would have an app for them.
Well, I'm pissed because I had to learn all this shit first, and they ain't sent me an app with all of it in there.
So you like, man, I can just bookmark this stuff.
Well, no, you still know that the app it gives you the law, but it don't teach you how to use the law. So you still need to know the law, but it does give you a reference point if you are studying the law. It's a definite aid. But if you don't know the law, this shit will still be Greek to your ass. If you're looking at it, it'll help. It'll help you learn it a little bit, but it's the resource though, because it's a little tricky going through it, knowing, and each state is different as far as what I found, because I was talking to one of the homies from Tennessee, and excuse me, and his app is completely different. He didn't have some of the things that I had, but he had some of the stuff that I didn't, which is crazy. So it's really specific. Like for your area, like it'll have all your you can go to every precinct of your in your area and go and see. You can look at the policies in that precinct. It's crazy because these niggas have to follow policies as well as laws. So if they break a policy, these niggas have to get written up behind that too. Man, whoever put this motherfucker together, they took a while putting this together. This was like over a couple years to actually develop this shit. All right, any more questions before we bounce? Cause I got these bathrooms. Any more questions on what we talked about today?
Quick question on the birth certificate. So some of y'all know I was born in a different country. I got a certificate of birth abroad and not a birth certificate per se.
German spy we got up in here, yo.
So,
spy, bro. Spy, man.
How would I go about getting that number? Because it just has like a form number at the bottom. It's military stuff. It ain't like an actual birth certificate.
Well,
I was just looking at it.
So they didn't get you an actual birth certificate when you got here? Like
it's just a certification of birth abroad, and then there's a report of birth abroad of a citizen of the United States of America. Just State Department.
If you can go to your county recorder and find your actual birth, they should have an actual copy of your birth certificate in there.
Okay.
So go to your county recorder has all that. Vital statistics, Office of Vital Statistics.
Statistics, got it.
Hey, Kev, could I ask you another question?
Mm-hmm.
When you taking the steps to change the status with your birth certificate, that's a form that can't be bent, right?
What do you mean?
It's a document that can't be obstructed in any kind of way.
What do you mean obstructed though?
All right. When I'm in PA. When I first went to go get my my first one, they folded it.
Oh no, mine is folded. It's in an envelope. I got it right from the envelope. Fold it all up.
Okay. All right. Cool. Just checking. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, man. As long as they can read it. It don't matter if it be folded. You can ball it up like homework.
Okay. All right. Cool, my man.
As the homie Corey Holcomb say, fat girls' stomachs look like balled up homework. Ball your shit up like homework. As long as they read. Corey killed me with that joke. Anything else? So man, study that damn app before next week, because we're gonna go in that app a little bit next week and see.
I'm gonna be studying it, bro.
The best ways, the best way to use it.
True that.
So man, damn, we're supposed to go over some law cases today, but we'll hit them next week when we get into that app. And like I said, the best ways, what you want to favorite within the app, because that's probably the best thing. The quick, it's like a quick dial. You want to have all them laws on favorite. Bam, pull it up. Bow. Driving with no bow. what you want to do, nigga? Bow. I got it right here. Had this shit right here. I got it right here. While you recording, pull it up. Bow.
Hey, since I'm in Cali, you got a cheat sheet for me?
No, nigga.
I was messing with you. I knew he was gonna say that. I'm gonna study. Don't worry. I'm gonna look at it, bro.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all next week.
All right, Kev. Appreciate it.
Joe.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Be safe.
Thanks, good brother.
Don't let these Rona niggas get at y'all, man.
Well, I'll take it back.
Hey.
All of us be safe because Kev don't have to worry about this, but everybody else be safe.
Correct that status. Y'all better study that law and get your status straight.
I'm about
Hey,
to get my sovereign ID next week. Get that shit hooked up.
Nobody want to hear about that, man. That's messed up. It's like you rubbing in people's faces. Oh, I got my stuff.
Hey, nigga, anybody tell you niggas to slack on your status? But somebody's about to ask me something. Somebody.
Yeah, I sent you an email a few weeks ago. It's from M Lemons 13. Check it out and then just hit me back.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
M13. All right. Yeah, man. Anybody tell you slack on your status, nigga?
Man, nobody knew about it, bro. Now you gotta learn about it.
Tell me, you knew me years ago, man.
One nigga,
you knew me years ago, nigga.
All right, nigga, bye, nigga.
I'll let y'all admit it. Peace.